have said my seds in my area of the YouTube verse, and I'm ready to do this.
All right,
Alrighty.
cool. So said what 2 minutes roughly?
We're gonna have 2-minute open. Yeah, we got Sean and Sealion here for the gravity, general gravity or general religion. How did you coin it, Sean?
Yeah,
General religion.
call it that, general religion.
All right, and
I think
Sealion is
both
going to be
agreed.
going first.
Yep, I'll be going first. I'll be presenting a case for general relativity, why it matters in day-to-day life, and how it relates to cosmology through dark matter and dark energy. All right, ready?
Go.
Ready when you are.
Yeah.
So the first thing I want to start with is a quick foundation for how we define the epistemology of science versus religion. The key criteria that I present is empiricism and falsifiability. No religion presents claims that are scrutinized on the basis of falsifiability, whereas science does. We will show throughout this presentation and this debate that general relativity meets these claims in many different ways and therefore is best classified as an epistemology of science, not that of religion. When we talk about the reason for developing special and general relativity, we developed them because we had to. Special relativity was a necessity. General relativity grew out of that necessity and is a necessity in our day-to-day life, without which the relativistic effects that are accounted for in GPS, were those not accounted for, would cause errors in positioning that would render the system effectively useless. When we talk about how we evaluate a theory, we look at empiricism and falsifiability. When we look at the heliocentric model, the application of Newton's theory of gravitation and Kepler's laws, we were able to predict the orbit of Neptune, despite not being able to see Neptune itself. That is precisely the same way that we know that there is something called dark matter and dark energy, which exists in the universe. We do not observe it directly, but we observe its effects precisely, quantitatively, and in a way that is falsifiable.
30 seconds left on the clock.
That's all I need.
All right.
Awesome. That was awesome. That was really good. I like that. Seems like you really practiced it. The ultimate goal of this situation is to explain that isn't to explain that general relativity is not of truth. It is to show that like religion, there is an overwhelming, encompassing amount of faith that is needed to adhere to general relativity as it is spoken to when in regards to gravity. One of the main aspects of this is something my friend here brought up, and that would be the falsibility of stuff that we conjure into this general relativity, and whether or not these things are based in reality or they are only concepts based on needs and hopes to keep a structured theory going. That's all I need.
Cool. Great. Can we agree, Sean? I guess it seems like we have a common standard of the epistemology of science versus religion, but maybe we should just clarify that point. And I guess in terms of timing, I don't know how long you want to go. I'm free to just kind of keep it open and see how things go. Pretty casual today, but let me know if you your thoughts are.
I got all the time in the world.
Cool. Perfect. I have a good amount of time as well. So I guess to me, I think the key distinction between religion and science, you talk about faith. And I think that there's always a certain degree of belief that's required for any system of knowledge. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, regardless of our understandings and ways of explaining things, there is a line of faith that must run in these conversations. There's no doubt about it.
So, but that's not unique to any particular scientific theory, as I see it.
No.
No. For me,
no. There's nothing that says you must have faith for this to work.
Right, but to some extent, right, as things have become, certain things you can quickly and easily verify for yourself without the need for any faith in any system whatsoever. Up to the stupid thing that we get into sometime about how do you know you're not a brain in a jar.
Yeah.
So
I get what you're saying.
Like Archimedes' principle, for example. I assume you're familiar with that one.
Yes.
Okay. So I can go with some, a few objects and a bathtub and do some measurements, and I can work out that Archimedes' principle is true. I don't need any scientists. I don't need any special instrumentation. I don't need any faith in the process, or anything along those lines. I would say. Do you agree with that as like a baseline standard of maybe a standard of, of empirical science that does not depend on authority or faith?
That would be a good example of one.
Okay, cool. So I guess then the distinction would be we agree that there's a certain amount of faith that's required for all systems of knowledge. At the
Mhm.
extreme end, we have that which is individually verifiable without the need to really rely on others, up to the limits that anything could be known because, again, I could be living in a delusion and be in an insane asylum or something, right?
Yeah.
So you have to
You
make
could
certain assumptions in order
you
to
could wake up tomorrow.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I could wake up and I've been in Shutter Island the whole time. Uh,
Mhm.
Sorry, spoiler alert if anyone didn't watch the movie. So I guess my thing is this. So I tend to be a pragmatic guy. So I tend to go off of why do we need something and where is it applied? And when it comes to science, I didn't really have a good epistemology to distinguish things. And I would say, honestly, prior to engaging with flat Earth, my belief system and my understanding of science was very faith based. And I wonder
Yeah.
where you come from in that regard. Like, as someone that
Right.
kind of went through the flat Earth thing and then came out, like, obviously you had a certain level of skepticism, but then there's a weird contradiction in flat Earth between skepticism and orthodoxy. Do you mind commenting on that so we can maybe come to like a common understanding of where we got to this point, maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. I like I said, I absolutely agree with what you're saying. I think the difference between what we are trying to convey is different. I think that's where this line is drawn. I completely understand that there's faith based in this, especially because I am not college educated. I am not educated to the level of these sciences. So I absolutely there's a high level of faith that I have in the information that I'm getting to be correct. Um, because of that, I do understand where you're coming from, but in the scope of what we're talking about, it's not so much the faith that you have in science. It's about the faith that science must have to continue a theory.
Mm,
There is a blatant difference between the two. Because of that, I completely understand the faith argument, and I completely understand the difference of a religion. The reason I bring this up and the reason we are here today is not because of the faith that you have. It's the faith that science must have to continue a theory without a way of falsifying it or it
sure.
being based in reality.
Okay. That's great.
And and that would be something not again, I think for anyone who doesn't understand, when I coin it general religion, I'm not saying this is a Christian thing, where it is a religion. It's my way of saying that without physical necessity, without feasibility, you have this trust that it must be. And a lot of the things that are added to these theories not only cannot be observed, but are literally placeholders for things that cannot be understood. And for me, that runs the same thing along as someone who is religious, who does have
Mm.
faith in something without verification.
Okay, that's helpful. I think that we got two things out of that, like clarity of the standard of like our empirical standard, and then also I think you explained your position well as it pertains to relativity. And I think you're kind of
Yes.
alluding to dark matter and dark energy specifically. Are there any other aspects of relativity that you see as being faith-based and unfalsifiable, or are those two the
Mhm.
primary ones?
I would say even more than that, those ones with radiation.
Okay.
That's my fave.
Okay. I guess what I would want to distinguish is when it comes to Hawking radiation specifically, um, where do you draw the line between? So we have a theory of general relativity, right?
Mhm.
And maybe we can agree on what it does well first, and then we can discuss the areas where you feel maybe it's falsified. So
Okay, yeah. I think I kind of forgot to say this. I do apologize. For people listening, this whole thing is me based off of the fact that when I discuss gravity, I do consider it a force. In every way I apply it and consider it to be the true explanation for gravity. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
okay, so that's one right off the bat, right? You maybe
Mhm.
have maybe a distinction in your view between how the Newtonian framework treats gravity versus how Einstein treats gravity. That would be like maybe a philosophical, epistemological,
No,
or practical.
no,
What is the basis of
no.
that issue?
It's based in fact. It's literally based in the explanations between the two.
Okay, but that's a more fundamental one. So I think before we get to anything else, let's kind of dive deeper into that piece. So as it
Absolutely.
pertains, yeah, as it pertains to gravity, your understanding would be what? That gravity is, and I think we need to make a distinction as well between gravity and gravitation, those not being quite the same thing.
Mhm.
And then talk about the how do the two frameworks differ and how do we reconcile
That's
them?
fine. Mhm. Yeah.
So
For me, gravity is the explained effects of a force.
when you say explained though, what do you mean by that?
Mhm. The things we
Like,
observe, test, and record as data for the phenomena of things falling.
sure, but do you mean a kinematic or a dynamic explanation?
Dynamics, just blatant gravity. We're going to stay Newtonian. Remember, I stay basic with this stuff, man. We don't need to get all hyperbolic about what we're saying. It's very simple. Gravity acts as a force. What we call gravity is the description of the observed phenomena that encompasses those things. It's very simple.
Right, but
Don't have to look so far into it.
when you talk about I guess maybe the distinction here is between kinematics and dynamics as it pertains to gravity specifically. It seems like you have a conception of gravity in the Newtonian framework as being sort
Mhm.
of fully dynamically explained. I don't know if that's a fair statement.
Oh no, absolutely not. There's so much that's not explained.
Okay,
There are things
so
that produce an average rather than a empirical number.
right, well, we have the something like the international gravity formula, which relates the acceleration of gravity on Earth to latitude as a function
Mhm.
of oblateness and rotation, and that's the difference between gravity and gravitation. And I think that's a
Yes.
helpful framing that will help us to kind of resolve this conundrum because my position would be that while it is true that in general relativity, because of the equivalence principle and the way that we think about the effect of space time as producing this thing we call gravity, this interaction, to me, it's actually not that different from the other interactions in the sense that, so you're familiar with like the Lorentz force, right?
Yep.
In electromagnetism. Okay.
Yeah.
So
So basically, so we don't have to go on a lecture after this. You're basically just describing the fact that there are other forces that interact with our worldly reality that must be factored in when we're talking about gravity.
not quite. What I'm trying to say is that I'm trying to draw a metaphor between the way
Mhm.
that a electric or magnetic field, which is not explained by just the impact of the Lorentz force and something like Coulomb's law, there's a fundamental interaction that we call electromagnetism that acts on charge particles, for example. Let's just keep it to that scope for simplicity. And what I'm saying is there's an underlying field that's not modeled by the classical laws that is the dynamic source that is an interaction producing the force. And the way I see it, and maybe I'm getting out over my skis here as a theorist, is I don't really see that big of a distinction between that framing and the way that gravity is framed, or the difference between gravity and gravitation is framed in Einstein. Because in a similar vein, we have a field. In this case, it's not a quantum electrodynamic field and the exchange of virtual photons on a quantum scale, but it's
Is
a thing we
is
call
that
space.
field the field you're talking about? Space time? Are any of these things observable?
So yes, in the sense that we observe the effects. And to my knowledge, that's also very similar to how we observe the effects of um, magnetism. It's primarily through the observation of the interaction that is produced that induces a force. I don't, I could be wrong, but my
No, no,
understanding is that I don't know that we can precisely measure as such these like virtual photons that we're modeling in quantum electrodynamics as being exchanged. Um, but maybe that's not an accurate statement. But to me, it seems like we have sort of this fundamental thing which is physical yet immaterial. And it's not, well, it's
mm.
physical, it's not
How is it
tangible.
physical?
How's it physical?
Yeah.
Because what I define as physicality as is existing outside of the mind and being empirically measurable.
Okay, so we kind of went away from it, but I'm happy you said that. Um, could you could you run me down the same parameters
Mhm.
for Hawkins radiation? Is it a physical thing? Is it observable? Is it falsifiable?
From my understanding, I believe all those things would fit, but I don't know that we should get to that just yet until we
Hmm.
get past the fundamental distinction between if we don't agree on whether we can make coherent the distinction between the way Newton and Einstein treat gravity,
Mhm.
the force
Oh,
produced
okay.
by gravity, then I don't know that
Mhm.
we can really intelligibly talk about Hawking radiation just yet. Is that
Okay. Well,
fair?
then we can. Oh, no, actually, I agree. 100% agree with you because the tangent you're going on actually could be short lived off just this aspect of it. You understand that between the two of them, they don't explain the same thing, right? Let me say it better. Where Newton explains something, Einstein doesn't try to explain it better. You understand that, right? That we're both in agreement on this aspect of it. I can get a little bit more detailed if you need me to.
No, I don't actually agree with that. I think that Newton himself, I mean, if we're going off of just Newton, Newton was, I think, quite unsatisfied with with his law of gravitation as it existed at the end of his
Mhm.
life, lacking any
Sure.
sort of mechanism to explain action at a distance. And he actually posited an
Mhm.
aether in his later work in optics, although it wasn't a
Wasn't
confirmed
the same
theory.
situation.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, but okay. But with that being said, his frustrations of his theory and laws don't discount what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is this: with Newtonian, it is very much so of this world, very physical, very reality. You and I can both test everything about Newton via ourselves. Correct? Like we both
Um,
understand that part.
well, no, not really, because
Oh,
we can't fundamentally test a causal a mechanism by which there's action and
again,
resistance transmitted by
again,
gravity. That's
again, I'm not. That's at a certain scale. That's the same difference as saying that what you're trying to preclude is that Newton wasn't correct in what he was saying. What I'm trying to establish is that the things that Newton was correct about, that we have established laws for, of reality, things that we can tangibly do ourselves to verify. Am I correct or wrong about that part? Um,
You can
Gravity,
verify
mass
the
attract mass. We can do that.
yeah,
We
we
can
can do
talk
that.
about the
Sure.
gravitational influence, like all the things through Newton. These are very
Yeah.
much real world, as I consider it, real world physical
Well,
tests that we can do and falsify. Right?
define physical
Um, you, you are able to observe.
though. Okay, then I agree with that. Physical is observable. It doesn't have to be tangible, correct?
Yes, yeah, obviously, because that would
Oh,
then
okay. I
fall
just
into
wanted
the
to make
same
sure I
guides as
yeah.
yeah, because I think we're both getting at the same thing that neither one explained the cause. We don't know the reason. Like
Mhm. Yeah.
it's all self-explanatory. But the point of what I'm trying to say is that where Newton tried to was explaining the effects at which we observe the phenomena that we observe,
Yep.
Einstein wasn't trying to explain that. Not no point did Einstein try to explain to you what gravity is. What
Uh,
Einstein is explaining is the influence in which that gravity has on space-time, right? So far, so
No,
good?
I don't think that that's
Okay.
a proper understanding, because
Okay.
that the key thing that led. So you're familiar with, there's a historical statement of the, I think he called it the happiest moment of his life, his realization of the equivalence principle.
Mhm.
So I think fundamental to our understanding of relativity is that Einstein realized certain things were geometric in nature. And that was first demonstrated with special relativity, where he
Mhm.
realized that the aether wasn't wrong per se as a construct, but was superfluous when you considered the correct geometry of the problem. And through definition of the special theory, he resolved all of the issues that we were having, with the primary issue being that if the speed of light is not constant based on it in inertial reference frames, we have divergences in the laws of physics in different reference frames. And therefore, he postulated, in a similar way that he postulated general relativity. So in the special case, he first postulated that, that the second postulate is the constancy of the speed of light, postulated that based on a geometric argument that the aether was superfluous. Now, when we look at the action of gravity, of the interaction of gravity, which produces an induced force that's emergent in most practical contexts, it proceeds in the same way. He had a realization that there's an equivalence between an acceleration outside of a gravitational field and the effect of gravitation itself, producing something we call gravity. That equivalence principle is, I think, what you're missing in your understanding, because functionally
The,
speaking,
that the,
that
the
renders
equivalent
it
principle
very
is literally the link between what Newton is explaining and what Einstein is explaining, which aren't the same things. It's the link between them. It's
yeah.
the way you explain.
The way
It's the
that
way
we
you explain. Yes, the way you explain that Newtonian isn't wrong when you're explaining about space time, and Einstein isn't wrong when you're explaining it as an acceleration. But again, there's these real fundamental steps that I think you're forgetting, that
go
or
for it.
forgetting, or you don't know about. I don't know. You tell me. Because the way it is explained between Newton and general relativity, they work hand in hand, actually. Whereas in people like to play this semantic game, like your buddy, that they debunked it or that it explains more, but in reality, it's just conjunction of the other. So Newtonian, who has explained what these objects and interact as forces, where general relativity explains how those forces accelerate within space-time. There is no um, there's no time where Einstein goes, everything Newton said was wrong. He doesn't even ever explain it that way. He makes it
Well,
very clear that it's not the same explanation redone. It's a further explanation based on a different effect that is worked through that force. That's why I think it's still a force. That's why you still need a force to go along with general relativity.
yeah, but demonstrably, the thing that is observed is effective of geometry, and then that's what Einstein realized, and that's the basis of the equivalence principle. I mean,
Okay.
maybe I don't
Now,
have
would
the
you say
greatest way to explain that to you, but the point being, the fundamental thing that you have to understand about why I think it's important to understand that the special theory was, again, taking geometry and using a geometry and the idea of the Lorentz transform to remove the need for an ether to explain why the speed of light would be constant in all inertial frames. The original ether, the luminiferous absolute fixed ether, was proposed as a way to deal with this issue that they were discovering with electrodynamics in moving frames. Now, when you
and
talk
was
about
was that conceptualized or was that something that was observed?
what the speed constancy of the speed of light was postulated, but the observation was that the Maxwell equations depend on the speed of
That was a
light.
test. That was a test.
Yeah, the
Again, I
Maxwell
asked.
equations depend
So
on the
what was
speed of
okay?
light.
What was the
It's the speed
phenomena?
of light.
What would be the phenomena for luminescent ether?
Um, I'm not sure I quite understand your question.
There has to be a phenomena, right? I don't think we need to argue this part. The
No,
very
we just
start of this whole thing is
agree.
a phenomena. What would be
Yeah,
the phenomena for luminescent ether? What would be their phenomena that they experience to hypothesize about this?
the propagation of light and how that varies, if there's any variance in inertial frames.
Is there a way to falsify it?
The luminiferous ether, absolutely.
Yes.
Um,
Okay, perfect.
because because
No,
you
no,
need to. Yeah. Okay.
don't need an explanation. Okay. And I know you didn't want to jump to this, but the reason I want to jump to this is because I don't really need to be taught general relativity. I think there's something you're kind of really missing. I'm not saying general relativity is wrong at all.
Sure.
It works. Okay. So the reason I want to bring up Hawkins radiation, the reason I'm happy we brought up ether, the reason I'm happy you started off by laying out the foundation for why you believe science isn't faith.
Yeah.
And one of the biggest issues with say Hawkins radiation is that there is no way of falsifying it. There is no observation of this Hawkins radiation to stand currently. So when Hawkins radiation was developed and came or calculated, whatever, it would be the same situation, in my opinion, as the calculations that are valid that you can look at. Science has it for teleportation. Now, would you say that teleportation is real? You say that's tangible, that's verifiable, falsifiable? Like all the criteria of science, is that all you need? Just the equation?
Teleportation in what sense?
Yeah.
In what context?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
what scale?
Beam me up, Scotty.
I don't think that is currently something that we could currently do, but there's some ideas that are coming out of quantum mechanics with things like quantum entanglement and action at a
Oh,
distance that suggest
oh,
that
you
that
should look it
might.
up because right now there are actually, I think, a few equations for teleportation. Making it a reality of concept is how they call it. And the reason I brought that up is because, in the same token as teleportation is mathematically shown to be possible,
Uh-huh.
physically, it is not possible. There is no tangible physical way for us to establish that we can use these equations to be true. Correct?
Well, hold on, because you're making a claim of impossibility. So argument to
Okay.
impossibility merely requires a statement of
Perfect.
plausibility.
You're right. Okay. I'll start over. Is the math for teleportation make it real? Let me ask it again. Does the math for teleportation make it real?
Um, no, I mean, is it physically observed yet? I mean, there's many theoretical effects that were not
Nope.
observed. So in
Nope.
that
Not
sense,
observed at all.
yeah. But here's the thing. So I question.
No,
So
no, 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 no. Let's stay on track.
yeah, go
So
for
we've
it.
established that teleportation mathematically may be possible, but in reality, currently, not a possibility, thus being not of reality.
I
We
didn't say it's
can
not a
establish.
possibility.
Oh, I know you said, because you said impossible and all that stuff. Fine.
It
Does it
is.
make it real? Is what I asked you. So to me, the answer is no. Mathematically, you could say it's there, but observations, phenomena, understanding, all the above, keep it at not real. Is probably the best way I'm going to be able to say to you, and you not say
Yeah.
something else like that. Okay.
Well, yeah. Okay,
So
but
okay.
let me think about that because I when you say not real,
Mhm.
I think you're making an implication that if something is not observed yet, it is not of reality. It has not been. So I question that
Okay.
piece because, like,
Mhm.
when it comes, let me give you an example. Are you familiar with frame dragging?
Kinda.
So frame dragging, I'm not that familiar with it, so you'll have to pardon my lack of like technical explanation. But at a high level, all frame dragging is an observable effect that has been observed and measured. That was is a very tiny effect. And that's the challenge with general relativity on the scale of the solar system, is that the effects are usually very, very small, except as they pertain to GPS, they become a lot more relevant. And that's just the nature of how GPS works. But frame dragging is, so you have the effect in relativity of the stress energy tensor in the Einstein field equations that describes how space-time is affected by the distribution of mass energy, right? Frame dragging says that there's actually an effect that's pretty much like a Coriolis effect, that as there's a rotating mass energy distribution, it creates like, imagine just like there's like, have you ever been like in a
I
situation
have a
where for whatever
question. I have a
yeah.
question. Do
Mhm.
any of your points not include imagine?
Well, I can give you precise quantitative predictions that we could walk through the equation. So in that sense, that's not imagine.
Well, we were trying to. So we have an equation for teleportation. Is
Right, but this is
teleportation
my point. Let me
real?
finish my point. Let me
I
finish
know,
my
but
point.
what
No,
you're
So,
doing is you're
all right, hold on,
diverting,
Sean.
but it's diverting from the actual point that
Let,
we're discussing,
No,
and it keeps happening.
it's not.
let's
It's not.
let's
I'm
give
trying to
him
answer
let's
your
give him
point.
40 seconds to round off this point. Go ahead, Sealion.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to answer your point. I'm saying that if we say that teleportation is not real because we haven't observed it yet, we would also have to have said that frame dragging wasn't real until we observed it. Yet the fact that we hadn't observed it yet did not mean that it wasn't occurring. It just meant it hadn't been physically observed as a phenomenon yet.
Well, that observation of a phenomena is pretty important in science, wouldn't you say?
I agree that it's important, absolutely, but we're making predictions
Mhm.
prior to something occurring, and it's the same
Which
thing with
makes it a
which makes
which
it
makes it a concept. No,
no,
it makes it a concept.
it makes it something that we are predicting of the theory, but we
Mhm.
cannot say for certain whether it is of
Wait,
reality.
how do you
We
make a
can't say
prediction of something not observed?
by the theory of induction and the use of the mathematical
Imagine.
equations that are established. So, like
So
Einstein,
having faith in what should be possible with what's been shown. That's what you're
well,
saying
I
right
mean,
now.
if you want to call it faith, the difference
I'm
between
trying to
faith,
establish. That's what I'm trying to establish. What is it to you then? Because if it's not faith, if it has to be, as you put it, falsifiable, tangible.
yep.
These are the statements you made. So then I brought up a topic. The reason I'm trying to keep bringing it back is because you are very slowly but surely trying to go away from what I'm asking you. And it's a
No,
very simple question. Okay, it's very simple. Teleportation. I understand that mathematically they have quote unquote done it, or figured it out is a better way of saying it. But because it has not been observed, because there's not even a test to verify whether or not this mathematical calculation is even a possibility, it makes it not real, not of this world. It's still a concept. It's
not
still
necessarily.
not. Yeah,
You
why
can't
is it
make
not necessarily?
because you can't make a truth statement of that nature a priority of
I did
understanding
again.
what the evidence is.
Again, I understand, and
Hold
I
on, Sean.
did not say.
You gotta let
I,
Mordon finish his point though.
Because, like, here's the thing: every other theory has the same thing. The hypothesized quantization of the magnetic moment of an atom was something that was proposed, but you cannot say that at the time that it was proposed it wasn't real and only became real once it was observed, because that's
keep
making
saying of
an
reality.
error in logic. That's making an
Okay,
error in logic.
okay.
That's what I'm
So
saying.
what you're telling, so what you're telling me is that there is no difference between a mathematical equation and reality.
I'm saying that a priori you cannot make the distinction between
I
the two.
understand. Okay, fine. I will not say it's not real.
Okay.
I will keep stating the fact of the equation, reality.
But the thing is, it's the difference between that and faith is that
Can
in
you
faith,
falsify that?
yeah,
Would
absolutely,
you
you
be
can
able to
falsify it.
falsify?
Yeah,
You
you
can.
can.
No, no. I'm talking about teleportation.
Yeah, absolutely, you could falsify it. We don't have a test for
How?
it yet. I don't know. I
Then you
don't have
can't
the test for
falsify
it
it.
yet.
Then
No,
then
that's
it's
not
not
true. That's not
falsifiable.
true. That's not true.
Okay, how do you falsify? How is it falsifiable then?
Well, let me give you an example. You're
Perfect.
applying post hoc reasoning. So when we look back at the Stern-Gerlach experiment, there was a long period of time where it was believed to be the case that the magnetic moment would be quantized, meaning that it would only take discrete states. There was no test derived for that. That doesn't mean it wasn't falsifiable, because a test was derived and the classical prediction was falsified, giving strong evidence for the non-classical prediction.
What
What
makes
I'm
it
telling you,
falsifiable? What is the definition of being falsifiable?
that it can be empirically measured with data and determined at some date to be to be true up to the sense that we can prove something is true. So again, the
What is
Lenz-Thirring
necessary?
effect.
Hang on. What is necessary for a hypothesis?
Basically an if statement. It gets into then your theory of science and the different scientific methodologies, observational versus experimental science. There's not always the ability to directly manipulate independent variables. I mean, I could get into that epistemology more, but to me,
But that's what makes observable phenomena so damn important, correct?
yes, but what I'm telling you is that we reached a point in physics, and I think this is part of the crisis in scientific confidence that people have, that it is increasingly difficult a priori to understand how to make those tests. Archimedes' principle, once devised, was trivially easy to test, and anyone could verify it. The Stern-Gerlach experiment, Stern, and I think the original formulation, 1913, was around when they started to think that there might be a quantization of the energy, the properties of atoms. But they didn't have any tests. There was no thought of falsifiability. Did that mean it wasn't falsifiable? No, it just didn't have at that time a defined test. But we knew
All you're explaining right all
right.
you're explaining right now is that before science, gravity was gravity. We just didn't call it gravity. I understand that. We're still, it's like you're lecturing. It's not even necessary. So the concept of what I'm trying to explain here is this. You've already established that these things need to be falsifiable. You need to be observable in some way or another. You just don't like me saying not possible. Got it. Back to
Well, yeah,
Hawkins
yeah, I don't like
radiation.
this. I
Is
don't,
Hawkins radiation observable?
not currently, but in the future it will be.
Is Hawkins radiation testable?
In the future,
Okay. So what phenomena was observed to come up with that concept?
I'm not sure. I don't know the full definition of how that was derived, but I think your
Okay.
understanding of the scientific process is a
No,
little bit. Yeah,
it's
hold on.
not.
No, I
It's
think
really
it is
not.
because
No,
well,
it was not, because I can establish that right now. So, what would be a falsifiable test for Hawkins radiation?
I'm not a theoretical cosmologist. I don't know off the top of my head. But again,
Okay.
the
So,
existence of a
what
current.
part of Hawkins
Hold on,
radiation
Sean. Hold on, Sean.
is
Let
based in
Sealion.
any fact and not just a faith base? Well, the problem is that I'm trying to go down a line, and every time I go down a line, it's a 10-minute lecture.
Well,
So
we
I
gotta
only
let him
get
respond.
I get a minute, and then he gets
Well,
10 minutes. So
all
I
right.
have to try to this line, and I keep having to go back to it.
We
Well,
could do
the
a thing
problem?
where if you'd like to, we could maybe go to like 5 minutes each for each, ask each other one-sided questions, so we don't have this. Because it sounds like Sealine wants to respond and not just be forced down
So
the
maybe
line,
let's
I
just
guess.
let me just
Well, that's
maybe
what
put a
that's what
clock
questions
on.
are.
Maybe let's just put a
I
clock
can,
on
every
the
time I ask a question, he has a 10-minute explanation behind it. So can we do that part now then? Because that part is what establishes what we're even talking about, rather than all these other topics that haven't even brought up, but he's doing to just boost to everyone that he knows what he's talking about. I get it. You know, general relativity. I find that's fine, but that goes away from what
what I'm doing.
I'm trying to get
I
at.
take issue with that. It's a friendly conversation, and
I agree.
I'm trying to draw. I'm not trying to like. I'm just trying to draw an analogy of things that have been done in the past to show you that your conception is, I think, a classical way of thinking about physics, which is
Absolutely.
fine. That's fine. But the reality is, modern physics, by its nature, ever since the early 20th century, has necessitated a different form of epistemological foundation. And we've
Yes,
modified the
it
epistemology.
is established that a lot of conceptualization can be done to fit in the blanks.
Well, that's a bit of an unsupported assertion. I think that when you talk about something like, when you talk again, like Stern Gerlach, that didn't happen until 1926. They were talking about this issue of the quantization of properties of the atom a decade earlier. Did that mean it wasn't real at that time? No, it was a real effect. It just hadn't been observed. So I'm not sure what the description of the logical error that's being made, but you're essentially going in maybe it's, I don't know, I don't want to use a fallacy because that's weak, but like, I think there's an error in your reasoning in the way that you're conceiving of things, because you're assuming you go backwards in a way that I don't think is appropriate to a statement of impossibility and a statement that something is based in faith. And what I'm telling you, I'm trying to explain, is that with modern physics, we don't necessarily have the ability to observe the phenomena a priori of doing the experiment.
Well, that's exactly where I'm trying to get to. Finally, shit. The fact that I believe that gravity is a force is basically because of Newtonian. I can physically do all those things, and I don't have to establish all these different concepts and what I consider to be faith. If you need me to read the definition of faith, it fits on exactly what you've already explained over and over again. It's a situation where it is faith, because if it wasn't faith, there would be something tangible, physical, to be able to observe, a phenomenon which to describe. It wouldn't just be a construct. It wouldn't just be a equation to explain something that is not of this reality, because it has not been observed. Saying it's real because the math says it's real doesn't mean just because it hasn't been observed, it can be considered to be real.
Well, the converse also applies. It can neither be considered to be real nor non-real, because your conception, like again, like frame dragging. We didn't observe frame dragging until very, very recently, because it is a very weird effect. It's like a space-time Coriolis. Don't ever tell that to SE Montreal. He's gonna have a fucking heart attack. But like, it literally is like space-time Coriolis, which means you need like
Was Coriolis real? Was Coriolis real before we called it Coriolis?
Of course.
Okay, so we've established the fact that I get, and I think now we are 100% in agreement. I understand that what science explains didn't invent any of these things. These things still existed before, but the understanding, the acknowledgement of them, the concept of breaking them down to detail to have better understanding of it, a lot of what you're saying right now is, and you've already admitted it, is based off nothing tangible, nothing observable. It's just the fact that I can't say it's not real to you that makes it real to you.
No, I'm not
again.
saying
I'm bringing it like I'm going to bring it way back to Hawkins radiation, because you've already established the fact that it's not. There's no phenomenon in Hawkins radiation that's observable. There's nothing that we can, no phenomena that we can correlate to this math. It is literally just the math. And everything that stems from that, whether it be what a black hole will do, what happens inside the event horizon, what happens to matter once it gets inside a black hole, all of the above is essentially just speculation upon, I think's faith. Now, the reason I keep trying to make this same point and then have to restart over is because there is no distinction between what happens with Hawkins radiation and a god, or a trust in something without a way of verifying it, basically, is a better way of saying it. Okay, so then what would be the way? What would be the way? Okay, perfect. What would be the way? Okay, what's the way of verifying? What is the way of verifying Hawkins radiation?
I don't have that answer for you now, but the difference is, by its nature, God is a supernatural entity. existing outside of the physical. Hawking's
What is
radiation.
supernatural? What is supernatural?
Okay, let me get you a precise definition. I have it in my epistemology of science. 1 second here. I just want to be precise. So
No worries.
So here's a good explanation from it. From the this is like a little bit of a. It's not a technical source, but it's from Berkeley. And basically, what it makes a distinction of is why do we talk only about natural causes? Because the prior science did not only concern itself with natural causes.
This is not a definition for supernatural.
Yes, it is. Supernatural explanations, by their very character, cannot be tested with the methods of science.
Okay.
That does not mean that they are wrong. They are simply outside of the realm of what science can legitimately investigate.
They are not considered. They're not considered phenomena.
Any effort to redefine science to include supernatural explanation is working at cross purposes to science's main goal: to build reliable knowledge about the natural world based on natural explanations. So your issue
can using science.
Yeah.
Can we observe, test, or verify Hawking's radiation?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. How?
Well, we'd have to. I mean, it's very far in the future. We'd have to have the ability.
No, okay, stop. I'm talking about right now. I don't care about the future because in the future, in the future, we're going to have a theory of everything. That doesn't mean
you can never get there.
Well, again, now you're contradicting yourself. So I'm going to lay this out one more time, because it's very, very simple. What is this way that Hawking's radiation can be tested, verified, or observed in any of those capacities?
I can give you a future test that I could propose, but I'm not a cosmologist.
Okay. Currently, right now, can they?
Currently, no, but they couldn't do that with Stern Gerlach either.
You're right. You're right. Okay, fine. So when God comes down and we actually can see him,
we gotta let Sealion get a response out. It sounded like you did you have something to respond with there, Sealion?
Yeah. You're making a category error between the natural and the supernatural on the basis of immediate testability with the methods that we have now. But that's an arbitrary.
I'm literally drawing it all out to you. I'm asking you how you've distinguished between a supernatural phenomena and a scientific phenomena, and based on what you drew those lines upon, I have now asked you to show me those lines drawn upon with Hawking's radiation, and your testimony to it is, well, in the future we may be able to do this. Well, correct. in the future, Sealion, God will come forth. Do you see the difference? Where's the difference?
The difference is that God, by its very nature, is outside the category of what we observe with science.
So is Hawking's radiation.
No, it's not. Because Hawking's radiation.
Show me an example. Show me an example of this in another situation, another phenomena.
I was talking about lens-thirring effect. The lens-thirring effect had no test. It was a prediction. It only existed we did not know for certain. It was a prediction of relativity that had not been established or falsified. That did not mean it was in the category of the supernatural, because it could be empirically quantified. In the same way, Hawking radiation exists as something that is predicted. Our ability to test it right now is an arbitrary standard that you're opposing ad hoc. You don't have an epistemological basis.
So could I can come up with a prediction and say that a black hole at a certain amount of time won't radiate, and it actually just get bigger than everything in the universe gets sucked in.
That's your theory.
So that's possible. Okay. What makes that real?
If you follow the rules of science and make specific quantitative, testable, empirical predictions. If you have a vague theory, theory that this might happen, that this could be a thing, it's not necessarily not real. I'm not going to deny you that. Maybe, because again, Einstein, in his first conception, his happy idea didn't exist in mathematics.
What's a conception?
What's a conception?
Yeah.
conception is sort of the first step to thinking about building a theory. From that conception,
does a conception, when you conceptualize something, does it need to be based in reality?
As it should be something that is empirically possible and is not based on supernatural explanations outside of the laws of physics.
Well,
Hawking
again,
radiation does not violate any known laws of physics, nor does it rely on supernatural explanations. And it's a prediction
it's
that
not
is empirical.
observable. A prediction that so again, okay, so I understand what you're saying. Mathematically, they've done it, right? They've done teleportation. But one of the criteria is which you keep saying, and you keep acting like, I don't know if you're acting like you're saying it or not, or you just don't acknowledge it. But being able to falsify it. And I asked you how you would be able to falsify it, and you keep saying that in 1,000 years or whatever, you'll be able to.
1,000 years.
So if that's what? Huh?
It's probably like 100 years, 50 years, something like that. Okay,
fine. Yeah, whatever. 50, 100 years. So if that's the case, does that mean that all of science is based on it could happen, or is it based on something that's verifiable through a phenomenon observed? For instance, gravitational lensing, dark matter, for all intents and purposes, these things that general relativity does try to explain as well.
Yeah, but gravitational lensing is a great example of something that is demonstrably real insofar as anything can be proven to be real. It has been observed thousands of times.
Yes,
however,
observed. Again,
prior, there was no natural phenomena observed of gravitational lensing prior to it being observed. It was predicted and then observed.
Yes.
The lens blurring effect was predicted and then observed. So you're trying to go backwards. So I don't know if that's an affirming consequent or what, but you're saying that
I'm not trying to go backwards. I'm just trying to establish how these things were made up.
Because you're trying to go backwards from a statement of it's not currently observed, therefore it's not real.
Okay,
but that would be a category error because your argument of impossibility is falsified by a single example of plausibility. So if you have a universal standard,
if it happens, then you're right. If it doesn't happen, I'm not right because it still could happen.
No, if the theory is falsified, then the theory is not true and needs to be modified.
Yeah, but you need to be able to test it.
Correct, and we have ways of testing it observationally.
Okay, how do we test Hawking's radiation?
You have to have the ability to get a probe in a situation where you can measure it. I don't know what that looks like.
A probe. So you have to actually be able to go beyond the event horizon.
Not necessarily. There could be some quantum field effect that transmits it through the universe. We don't know.
So now we're just going to make up more things to make it more possible.
No, I'm just saying that you're making a category error on a statement of something not being real when I'm giving you precise examples.
I've clarified this. I didn't say real. We've established this. I don't say real. It's reality. You're saying real as if I'm saying something that is completely fake or not, and that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, reality then. I didn't mean to straw man you in that way. My point is, you're making a statement that would have to apply universally. Otherwise, it's just an ad hoc fallacy. You're just
no. I'm not making any statements. You're making the statements. I'm asking questions. I'm not sure I'm not sure if you're paying attention to how this is working, but I'm literally asking you questions for clarification. And every time I make I ask for these clarifications, you go on a tangent about how something that is not of reality and is a conceptualization of what could be in reality.
You're making an assumption and a categorical statement, and I'm providing.
Which part is the assumption?
The assumption is that if it's not currently observed as a natural phenomenon, it is therefore not of reality. That is falsified as a category statement by the existence.
Define reality. Jesus Christ. Define reality.
That's that which is physical and empirical.
Okay, so when I say of reality, is Hawking's radiation of reality?
I don't know. And you can't know either.
Again, It is not of reality if it does not fit a certain criteria. Does teleportation fit that criteria?
You cannot make a statement that is not of reality a
Again,
priori.
I
the
can.
existence
No,
of
no,
evidence.
I absolutely can
No, you
of
can't.
reality. The
Okay,
process in
so
which
explain
you
to
have
me.
the process that you
All right,
stated
all right, you guys,
that
gotta talk.
that I
You
agree
guys
with
are
you
over
on.
talk. Hold on, Sean. You guys got to stop over talking each other. All right. So, Sean, go ahead and finish up your point, and then pass the mic, please. Let's try and stop the over talking.
The only thing that I've had to fix in this statement, and I agreed with you, is the statement that something is impossible. But the statement of reality, which you have defined, does not fit the criteria for Hawkins radiation.
It absolutely does. It can.
Okay, let's.
That's the
Okay,
distinction.
no, no.
That's the distinction.
Okay,
It
I
can.
get the
It is
ends. Okay, in the
possible.
future,
It is possible to be in reality. It is a category error to say that it is not real, because that is an ad
you're doing
hoc
it again.
standard. That is an
Again, you're
ad
doing
hoc
it again.
standard falsified.
Stop saying
An
real.
ad hoc standard. Okay, reality. It to say that is not of reality is an ad hoc standard that is falsified by many examples that would not have been considered reality, yet were nonetheless reality by your standard.
Perfect. Are
Therefore,
unicorns
your standard is falsified.
Can unicorns be reality of reality then? I mean,
Can
I know we haven't
unicorns-
observed. We haven't observed one yet, but never say never.
Do you have a theory of unicorns? A mathematical,
Yes,
precise,
fucking
theory of unicorns?
absolutely.
Yes, show me your theory of unicorns that fits in within the established canon of science. Could there be
A horse, a horse and an antelope fucked in the woods, and we didn't see it, and we haven't observed it happening. But when they fuck, they make a unicorn.
Do you have any evidence that this might be the case? Do you have any?
Yes,
support?
absolutely. I've seen horses. I've seen horses and antelopes fuck and have offspring.
Have you?
Yeah, horses have offspring all the time. There's thoroughbreds. Antelopes are a species that exists. I mean, I haven't seen them. I haven't seen them together. No. I haven't seen them together, but I do know that both species do it. And there's no. I mean, you can't say it's impossible for a horse and an antelope not to have a offspring.
Biologically, yeah, I can.
Oh, okay, show me.
Do you want me to walk you through the biology of why that can't happen? That's a bit difficult to do in the scope of this debate.
I mean, you're the one saying it's impossible.
So you're making a statement, and I get what you're doing. It's like a reductio ad absurdum, because we all know that unicorns within our framework cannot exist. The issue is
a presumed framework, a framework that's made up.
You can say made up, but again, you can't make a meaningful distinction between Hawking radiation and the lens flaring effect. You can't.
I don't need to.
Yes, you do.
I need what I'm doing right now. Again, you can play this game where you're trying to show that you know more about it. I'm
not playing any
Sealion. Check this out. Sealion. The understanding of general relativity, you far exceed mine. But the concepts that we're talking about right now, you're contradicting yourself. And I want that to be the point that you understand. I want this to be very clear to you.
Define contradiction.
Okay, perfect. The concepts that you are describing when it comes to Hawkins radiation, we've already established that these concepts are not something that can be observed, tested, or falsifiable. Under the criteria that you keep saying currently, just means to me that you don't want to say currently no, because that's the actual fucking answer. Currently, Hawkins radiation is of faith. Why do I know? Because there's no tangible way of verifying its existence, testing it at all. The same way, there's no other way of doing it for something that
was the lens flaring effect of faith that was not of reality.
Up until observation, yes. Okay. Do you need me to read you the definition of faith?
No, I don't think I need you to. I just need you to clarify in your view.
I'll do it anyway, because apparently, this is my view. This is my view.
And I would like a contextualized definition. So if you can post the source, I appreciate it.
Okay, let me get. I had it in my notes, but I can go to the link I was on and I got it. That's easy.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay. So faith. So Brad, I'll put it in the chat for you. This is exactly what I'm reading.
Okay, great.
Oh, where is Discord? There it is. Faith. Complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
No, I don't
Okay.
think that's. I don't think any scientist has that in Hawking radiation. Can you prove that
You
they
do.
No, I don't.
Absolutely. Okay.
No, I haven't. I haven't made any
Is-
statement that it's real, that it's in reality. I've merely made the
Yes, you
statement. That
did.
it cannot-
Okay. Wow.
When
How
did I
the
say
fuck
that?
did you just say that? Okay. Let me go down the line of questions I've been saying that I think, and I'm pretty sure anyone can verify this at least 6 times now.
Okay, but we keep getting to the same point because okay, let me clarify my position.
Is
My
math
position is
reality? Is math reality?
not necessarily, no. But it
Is
is
there
not.
okay? What point of Hawkins radiation is beyond just the math?
I don't currently know, but you cannot make a statement as to what is beyond the math
So
either.
then sir, you have faith that Hawkins radiation is
No, I
real.
don't. I'm not taking any position on the existence of Hawking radiation. You're
You
taking an
are.
affirmative position. No, you're taking an affirmative position that it is not of reality. I am making
It's
a
not.
statement
It is not
that
of
is an
reality.
affirmative claim. You're making an
What is the
affirmative
definition? Okay, God, we got. This is really flat earthish right now. So I have to now go and find out what the definition of reality is to you. Definition of reality: the world or state of things. They actually exist as opposed to an idealistic or national idea of them. The state of quantity of having existence in substance. So those are the two basic definitions for reality. So I want you to tell me what is based in reality when it comes to Hawkins radiation.
I'm not taking an affirmative position that it is reality. I'm taking a
Okay,
position.
perfect. Okay, so then guess what? So then any position, as in if I say Hawkins radiation is only a concept and not of reality, what is your stance?
My stance is that you do not have the backing for your affirmative claim because you do not have a consistent standard, and you cannot.
So it's of reality to you.
No.
Okay, so it's not real to you now.
No, neither of those statements can be established as a truth statement within our current framework.
And you make a true statement for Hawkins radiation so that we can understand what part of it is real. I'm sorry, I fucked up there. What part of Hawkins radiation is of reality?
It is possible within all known laws of physics. It is
ghosts are possible.
Hmm?
Ghosts are possible just on the fact that there's a phenomena.
Ghosts are supernatural.
Okay, yeah, there's no.
The ghosts are supernatural.
Are there phenomena?
No, don't strong man it. Ghosts are supernatural, existing outside of all known laws of physics. Therefore, it is a category error.
Now, how do you verify that? How do you verify that a ghost cannot be part of science?
Because we make definitions on what sorts of things science makes inference about.
Okay. What part of Hawkins radiation is of reality?
I told you, it is not contradicted by any known laws of physics, and it is made in a empirical and predictable way. Therefore, currently, either you or I in this conversation can make a statement on the basis of a consistent standard of intelligibility that it is either of or not of reality. And it's as simple as that.
Okay. So is this the same concept that you would have if we were explaining Newtonian physics?
No, because we have made the tests to falsify aspects of the theory. We know when it applies and when it doesn't.
So let me ask you one question, and this is probably going to lay it out. So you have faith that in time, Hawkins radiation will be observable and explained?
No, I don't. It may very well not be. It may be completely false, just like string theory.
Okay, so Hawkins radiation, thing or not a thing?
I don't know, and you don't know either.
You're right, and I also didn't say that it's not real or untrue, right? I'm just trying to walk down the basis.
Yeah.
I'm trying to
No.
walk down the basis. I'm trying to walk down the basis of what you consider to be real, of reality, tangible, testable, falsifiable, all of the nine,
gave you my standard.
and considered actually science,
I
right?
gave you my standard. The lens
You did.
thirring effect is precisely what we're talking about now, but with the post hoc knowledge that it has been observed.
Okay,
You
so
cannot
were
make
there
this
observations? Were there observations that led them to? Okay, so for the Lorentz thing, there was no observations that led them to the conclusions that they were, or the hypothesis that they had. It just came out of nowhere.
For frame dragging, there was no natural phenomena of frame dragging observed.
No. Well, what would lead to that? What would lead to them coming up with frame dragging, or was it just something that just came out of nowhere? We're like, hey, frame dragging, it's going to be this.
It came out of the equations. It's a natural consequence of the Einstein field equations. It's a solution to the Einstein field equations under the rotating mass energy balance, which creates a Coriolis effect in spacetime, causing frame dragging.
And of that,
hypothesized effect, which could not be established as of reality or not of reality until
so are there
falsified or not falsified, which is precisely the same situation as Hawking radiation.
So there were observable phenomena to lead him in that equation to come up with that.
No.
Okay, again, let's.
Not as I understand it. When it relates to frame dragging specifically, there was no observable phenomena in a similar way with gravity waves.
Okay, I have a better way. I have a better way.
Similar phenomena, but when it comes to
I have a better way. How about this?
Phenomena.
Okay, this is a better way of doing this.
Okay,
can we observe dark matter?
Yes, indirectly.
Okay, so the answer is no, but we can see the effects of what we were considering to be dark matter. That is the placeholder for a term of a phenomena that we cannot explain. That's what fucking dark matter is.
How do you distinguish between dark matter and the existence of Neptune prior to it being observed with telescopes?
Okay, the observation, the acknowledgement of dark matter, the acknowledgement that we need a placeholder card dark matter is based on observations that do not pan out the way our predictions do.
Which is exactly the same as Neptune. Did we see Neptune?
Okay.
No.
Again, I'm not sure why you're taking this stance as if I'm arguing that these things are fake.
You're saying they're not of reality, which is an affirmative
claim. That is I'm trying to explain to you is that is a concept reality?
It could be. It depends.
It is a concept reality. A concept can become reality, if that's what you mean.
It can be a description of reality. It can also be a false description that does not adequately describe reality.
Okay, so would that false description be a description of reality until it's verified or not?
No. It would
then how is it then how is Hawkins radiation? How is what you're trying to explain to me? Because your whole explanation is that in the future it will be. I'm sorry, in the future it could be.
I'm not making an affirmative claim. I don't know if Hawking radiation is of reality or not, and nor do you, and nor does any person on the planet. What we can say is that
we also don't know if God's going to come back down, but a lot of people have faith.
That's the difference. The God is a supernatural phenomena existing outside of the empirical and predictable. Hawking radiation is not. So you're making a false equivalency and a category error.
How is it? Okay, again,
I already gave a definition of supernatural, so it's not like we haven't gone over this.
Okay, so is a white hole of reality? Because under the mathematical constructs, it fits.
Does it?
Yes, absolutely. That's why. Do you know what a white hole is? You know, wormhole. You never heard of these things? There are concepts in science.
Okay, then I don't have an issue with it. It may or may not be of reality.
And so, at what point does reality? What is reality to you? If it doesn't have to be currently understood or currently an observed phenomena.
Reality is simply the best approximation of what exists outside of the mind that can be empirically measured by independent observers in a way that is predictable quantitative, and falsifiable. That's it.
And now I want you to break in detail, long-winded as you want, explain to me that line that you just went down in Hawkins radiation.
Sure. It is quantified. The predictions have been quantifiably made. They are
We have a
valid
math equation.
solutions. They are valid solutions to the Einstein field equation. They are not supernatural in nature. They are not contraindicated by the existing laws of physics. They can, therefore, be tested and falsified. We merely do not have such a test at the moment.
So it can't be tested.
No, that's a straw man. It
No, it's
it
not.
can be tested. It just
Oh,
you
okay.
can say that, but again, you don't have a
Can it be
consistent
tested?
standard. You don't
Okay.
have a consistent standard.
Can Hawkins test it?
You don't have a consistent standard to distinguish the lens-Thurring effect, which is established fact insofar as that's possible in science, to Hawking radiation. There's no difference. The only difference is an ad hoc fallacy that we've already observed it. But if our standard of reality,
wait.
we have to
Who said that we observed it?
first.
You said that. You said that. Okay. Do we have to do this again? What distinguishes between a reality and a phenomena? A hypothesis. Remember we did this and you explained the testable, the falsifiable, all that kind of stuff? I understand that. Fine. Get it. Perfect. So then we're on the same page. We don't have to keep doing that over and over again. So under Hawkins radiation, currently, all we have is math, right?
No, we have a prediction under a theory of physics that is not contraindicated by any laws.
Not a
of physics.
theory. It's not a theory.
And it's a solution to the Einstein field equations.
It's a hypothesis. It's a think tank into what a black hole can do after a certain amount of time. That's all it fucking is.
What do you define as a theory?
Something that can be testable.
This is testable.
Something that has been verified through prediction.
You are making an affirmative claim that it's not testable.
Okay. Am I wrong by saying a scientific theory is something that can be testable and verified through prediction?
Yes. A scientific theory is a framework that explains a class. So it's a explanation incorporating laws, hypotheses, and facts used to make predictions about future outcomes.
Okay. Now, does a hypothesis is a phenomena which to explain necessary?
No.
Okay. So what is a hypothesis? Okay. In the sense of a black hole and Hawkins radiation, would a hypothesis need to be something that is verified at all? Answer no. Okay.
Not currently, but that's exactly the same thing with time dilation. The exact same thing with the lens-Thurring effect, and it's the exact same thing with Gerlach experiment.
Space-time and all these other concepts that can't be verified.
No, they can. They have been verified. The lens-Thurring effect has been verified.
Perfect. Okay, so perfect. Has Hawkins radiation been verified?
Not currently.
No. Okay.
There was a point in time, and this is the source of the fallacious line of reasoning that you have. You have an ad hoc standard based on post hoc understanding of what has been observed. My point to you is that if we adopted only your standard of evidence for science, we would not be having this conversation now, because
I want to clarify something.
We never would have discovered all the things that we discovered.
Sealion.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you noticed it or not, but I've been asking nothing but questions. So this standard that I've established upon for science, it hasn't never happened. I've been asking you for your standards because I'm asking you questions. Okay, so what standard did I make? What standard did I make?
You are saying that in order to be of reality, it needs to be testable currently. And it also seems like you're saying that it needs to be based on an observed natural phenomena.
Okay, this is where you're wrong. Because what I did was, and this is how I know you're wrong, I asked you to define what is of reality. I asked you to define what is just I've asked you to define these terminologies. Absolutely, I agree with you. But the one thing that I fundamentally think I don't think you're purposely doing it on purpose, but you're not realizing that the difference between what is explained, again, bringing it back with Newtonian physics, where it is tangible, physical, verifiable, and then we get to something where general relativity starts explaining, or I'm sorry, where general relativity is explained and then something is added to it to make a prediction. I get that. I get it's a prediction. I get even in 100 years. Shit, man. 10 years from now, we can find Hawkins, we can observe Hawkins radiation, maybe whatever. But the reality of what I'm trying to state is that all these concepts, all these hypotheses are based off of faith that physics will always work as physics has always worked, which is already a misconception of physics.
No, that's not true, because you're making an affirmative claim then that it is not of reality and it is of faith.
It's not. It's okay. What part of Hawkins radiation is of reality?
I've given you the specific examples. We cannot say that it is of reality or not a priori of doing the experiment.
Perfect. So then it is. So as of right now, Sealion, the way Hawkins radiation is viewed through your eyes, it's based on fucking faith, because you have no tangible way of. There's no tangible way of you verifying it. You are trusting that science has explained this thing that has never been observed. That is faith.
I'm not making an affirmative claim on the reality or non-reality.
You were. Okay. No. You're right. Okay. Continue on, because this is getting really good. Because I'm not sure if you understand. Do you think when I say faith that I think that you think a creator? Because you understand that I've read the definition of faith, and the fact that you've already admitted that you know very little about Hawkins radiation, but yet you're defending the fact that it is of reality is based on your faith for it. That is just pure gut.
I don't care.
So is it so? Okay. So wait. No. Well, it's part of the conversation.
Yeah, but I don't care about it.
You mean you don't care?
About it.
It's part of general relativity. It's part of the it's part of the reason that I believe that general relativity explanatorial powers are have a lot to do with faith, and you've only shown that based on the fact that you're okay. Fine. Is Hawkins radiation a thing?
I don't know, and you don't know either. 50 years ago.
Okay. But again, here's the thing. Here's the one thing. So you made that statement. Hang on. So you made that. That was a perfect statement. Your statement is I can't say, or this is you. Sealion can't say Hawkins radiation is real, and Sean can't say Hawkins radiation is fake. Right? So far? Okay.
What?
But what's happened is because of those realities, right? It's a reality that neither one of us can make those statements. Yet science has established this reality based on a math equation that we both understand does not describe reality, right? It's not of reality.
Now you're making category error again. You're making an affirmative.
Okay, which one?
That it is not of reality. You just said.
Wait. Okay, hang on. Wait. Reality. Is math reality? Hang on. Is math reality?
Sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't.
Okay, well, we're gonna go. I will personally make sure I find the clip 20 minutes ago where you explain how math wasn't reality.
I don't think that I said that. What I said is that
I remember you did.
The truth of a statement. So when we talk about, again, we had the lens-Thirring effect. It was a solution to the Einstein field equations. It was not of reality, and we did not know, I should say, that it was of reality at that time.
Because it was a descriptor of reality, it wasn't a reality trying to be described. Do you understand the difference?
Right, but all of classic modern physics relies on the fact that we can't always observe phenomena a priori. Just
classical?
like the lens-Thirring effect. And the issue, if you want to stick in classical physics, is that we will not progress in these fields in the way that we have. Yes, are there issues with modern science? Yes. Should we make less affirmative claims a priori? I think so. I think you have a valid criticism. My issue is your attribution of a truth statement to something being not of reality when you do not have a standard of intelligibility that is consistent and does not rely on ad hoc knowledge of past events. There is no way that you can currently distinguish on a consistent standard the difference between the lens-Thirring effect and Hawking radiation, and why we should currently consider Hawking radiation to not be of reality. And similarly, we would have to also have considered the lens-Thirring effect not of reality, However, it has now been demonstrated conclusively to be of reality, insofar as that's possible in science. So you are making a category error on the basis of ad hoc reasoning after the fact, because I don't know. I'm not going to speculate as to why that's the case, but that is the error in your reasoning. Unless you can tell me right now what the difference between the lens-Thirring effect and the Hawking radiation is.
One is testable and verifiable.
Do you know for certain that when the lens-Thirring effect was predicted that they had a test for it?
Well, let me make this very clear.
No, answer
You're
my
asking
question.
me yeah, I am. You're asking me a question based on right now and our current understanding of physics, correct?
Yes, but do you understand my
So
point?
what you're asking me, okay, fine. Is there stuff that's been hypothesized about, predicted about, and not been found to be true so far?
Yes.
That is not the same thing. That is not the same thing as something that has been verified. So for you to ask me to constantly verify or to constantly give you an explanation for why something has been verified versus something that hasn't been verified currently is doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, I understand that. What I'm saying is
no. And here's the thing. I understand this is the same thing as as a scientist going through calculations. I predict that we'll find anti-gravity. Just because it's within the frameworks doesn't give you the stance to say it works.
Correct, but it doesn't give you the stance to say it doesn't either.
I did name one time I said, for a perfect example, name one time I said Hawkins radiation wasn't real or was wrong. Name one time.
It's not of reality.
I did.
Yes. Therefore,
and what is okay? Do we got to do this again?
Claim.
We got to do this
You're
again.
Making an affirmative claim.
Okay, fine. What is reality? Well, I'll do this again. I'll find the definition for reality. I know we did. That's why I'm so confused why you are making this point.
Because you're making affirmative claims that are ad hoc and inconsistent.
Okay, so then
you don't have a standard of intelligibility.
I literally have. Okay, I'll find the. Let me get the definition for reality again.
So yeah, I'm going to get the definition for reality.
I'm going to get the definition for reality again.
I want to make sure
that way we can
guys can be heard.
This. Okay, yeah, we're kind of talking. Go ahead, Sean. Read your definition, and then we'll yeah.
Let me get back to it since. Okay, so reality, the world or the state of things as they are actually exist as opposed to an idealistic or notional idea of them. So correct. I'm going to ask this one more time. So of the world or the state of things as they actually exist.
Yes.
What part of Hawkins radiation is of reality?
We do not currently know if it is of reality or not.
Perfect. Thank you. And that again, I'm not making that statement. I'm not making the statement. So there is zero need for you to say that. The only thing that I had is the only answer. There's only one answer for this question that's being said. Is Hawkins radiation of reality? The answer is no.
No, and then now you're making an affirmative claim that is unsupported, doesn't have a standard of intelligibility, and is incoherent.
Okay, fine. Is Hawkins radiation of the world or the state of things as they actually exist?
You have no way of knowing yes or no.
That okay? Is it?
You have
as of now, currently, right now, is Hawkins radiation of this world in the state of things actually existing?
You do not know that, and you cannot know that.
No. Okay. Okay. So can something not be acknowledged as of reality based on not having knowledge of it?
The only way is something that is believed to be against established laws of physics, like a perpetual motion machine.
What? So wait, so what you're telling me is that something can be
okay. Something can possibly be real. You're making an argument of impossibility then.
No, I am not.
Yes, you are. You're making an argument
again. Name what's my argument? What's my argument that Hawkins radiation doesn't exist?
You're saying that it is not of reality. You've said that multiple times.
Yes, because what I'm trying to establish is that you don't have a framework to base it in reality. Doesn't mean that I'm saying it's not of reality, because I'm going to tell you right now, it's not. It's above my pay grade. But again, under your established definition of this shit, of this whole conversation, I asked you very distinctly, what is reality? Well, how do we establish something as as observable phenomenon? How do we establish it?
Gave you the evidence, but we cannot a
You didn't give me
priori. Yes, I did. I gave
your evidence. Your evidence is that your evidence is saying that I can't say it's impossible, and sometime in the future we may be able to find out.
Correct. Therefore, we cannot currently, on the basis of a consistent standard of intelligibility of empirical science, determine that it is not of reality.
So, is it of reality?
Neither you or I can determine the truth of that statement.
Okay. So,
unless you can propose.
Okay.
Unless you can propose and make a distinction between the lens
basis?
Okay.
If you what is the basis? If you never say lens flaring effect, I would be so happy. What is the difference?
30 more times, Sean.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's the difference? Yeah, because again, when you do that, you're trying to establish that something that has been verified is the same as something that hasn't been verified. And the reality of it is if it hadn't been verified, it'd still be under the same classified as not being verified. It's very simple.
You don't have a consistent standard of intelligibility because there was a point in time where it was true that the lens throwing effect was of reality, yet it was not possible to say that the lens throwing effect was of reality.
Then it wasn't ever reality.
That is an incoherent standard, and it will paralyze.
Okay, so again,
and we can do a reductor out of absurdum.
So state of the lens of that contraction, name of what about it was actual in existence, and
it was happening the whole time.
Okay, is it observed?
Again, we don't a priori observe phenomena.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so again, that's not even a scientific mindset. So what you're telling me is,
it is a scientific mindset.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Yeah.
Science.
Okay. So was gravity before it was described as gravity, or was it just something that happened?
Gravity was gravity.
No, it was just something that happened. We decided to give it a name. That's what gave it its reality in our existence.
Gravity was what it was, and is what it is. That's the whole thing with the lens throwing effect. Unless you're claiming that there was some magical effect that made frame dragging appear suddenly and didn't exist in the past, which is special
observations.
Yes, but my point is this, Sean. You have a definition of rigid.
Bypass that completely. Go ahead.
You have a rigid definition of the scientific method, which requires a priori observation of a natural phenomena to establish that anything is scientific.
Yes, absolutely. That's why the best part is that's why this whole argument has been based on the fact that why I believe gravity as a force, because I can tangibly verify it through my own means, and where general relativity is literally based on concepts of faith I must trust to be accurate.
Well, I have to ask that you defer to what has been established empirically. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. But I don't think that that's a good standard to have, because you're paralyzed by all of the things. You just have essentially a theory of the gaps. You want something that's tangible and workable. You can't explain how you're
so again,
but nonetheless, it's
why would I need to? Why would I need to?
Well, it would be helpful to you to better interact with the world. You are okay with accepting on faith.
Talking about I'm interacting with the world right this second, and I don't know how my computer was built. What are you talking about?
Are you willing to get on an airplane?
Yes.
Why? You didn't independently verify
because I have faith in the pilot knows what he's doing.
Right. So why do you extend a standard of faith in one context and not another?
Mm-hmm. I'm asking the same question, because the reality of it is that you do have faith in general relativity being concepts in general relativity, because there's a lot that can be verified. Absolutely. Why don't you understand the fact that the trust you have that science is telling you correctly is how you understand general relativity? Why is that concept so hard for you?
I never said that was the issue. My issue was You're
So,
making
okay,
an affirmative
okay,
claim
fine,
that
fine.
something is
Do you have
not of
faith?
reality.
Do you have faith in general relativity?
The things that have currently been demonstrated, yes, I have a degree of faith in those results. I haven't personally
Okay,
verified. I
okay,
have to
and
accept,
okay.
or
Are
I
there
I
things?
have the ability, Sean,
Uh,
to look at the papers and interpret the data myself.
that doesn't
And
mean
that's the
anything.
luxury that I have,
So
which
do
limits
flat
the amount
earthers
of
do
data
that
that I
shit too.
can apply.
See line, flat earthers do that shit too. It's not a
No,
justification for your
they
argument.
don't do it properly. They don't have
So
the
does
tools to
that
interpret things
again?
properly.
Those are semantics. Who does it right? Who does it wrong? If
No,
I assume you're
no,
doing it
that's
wrong, does that make
wrong.
me right? If you
No, it's
assume
not
I'm doing
doing
it
too
wrong,
much.
does
It's
that make
wrong.
me wrong?
Is
Yeah,
there a is there a correct way to do a linear regression?
sure.
Okay. Therefore, my ability is its training to do a linear regression means that I can
Mhm.
independently verify that the GPS satellites are where they're supposed to be.
Okay. Did I say that GPS is wrong?
No, I didn't. But my point is
Hmm.
there is a standard of evidence. There
Hmm.
is a certain level, you could call it belief,
Hmm.
you can call it faith,
Faith. Yes.
in a certain system. But you also
Perfect.
have that every time you step on a plane and expect to get to your destination instead of falling out of
Absolutely.
the sky to your death.
Absolutely.
You just
Absolutely.
don't want to extend that standard to fields that you don't you
No,
don't
no,
personally
no.
understand.
Uh, again, the problem isn't me. It's you are not willing to. You've already established that you have faith in the stuff that a lot of the stuff that general relativity explains.
That was because
One
it's
of them,
empirically
one
demonstrated.
of them, one
Hold
of
on,
them
Sealion.
would, one of them would be Hawkins radiation.
No, I did not.
Another would be.
No, that's straw manning me. That's a straw man. I never said I have faith in Hawking radiation. I
I
don't
know you
give
never said that. I
magnitude.
know, no. I know you didn't say you have faith in Hawkins
Well, then it's a straw
radiation.
man if
The
you admit
reality of
that.
it is, is that you've already admitted that you do have faith with
No,
aspects of science.
no.
Oh, you don't. There's no
Well,
faith involved, no belief.
let's let
I don't
Sean get a
have.
whole 40 seconds out here. Let's see if
Okay,
he can
okay.
wrap it
Sure,
up. And if he's straw man you at the end of it, you can
all right,
address it then.
okay, go for it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because okay, so under those same guides that again, these are why this is why the position I hold on this topic is very, very odd that you keep bringing that up, because my position doesn't say general relativity is wrong. My position doesn't say that none of these things, that nothing isn't, that nothing in general relativity can be verified at all. And especially, more importantly, there is nothing in my argument that says that I don't understand that there is a level of faith that I have in science. The problem is that you are so unwilling to say that you have faith in science, and that general relativity must also have faith in what it's presuming to come up with a lot of its concept, is what's telling. Because the reality of it is even science understands that there is faith involved in science. You're just hung up on the fact that it must mean, when I say faith, I must mean God.
No, not at all. My issue is a consistent standard of intelligibility that does not rely on post hoc knowledge of what occurred in the past. We must have a standard that applies universally. If I was at the time when the lens flaring effect was proposed, I would have no way to know whether it was of reality or not. I personally would not place faith in that claim being true. In the same way that I've never been a fan of string theory, in the same way that I am agnostic on loop quantum gravity, or
All
any of those
concepts.
conceptions,
Yes, all of them.
because they are currently not in a position to be assessed either as of reality or not of reality. But my point is, your standard is based on a personal incredulity and ad hoc post application to things that you already understand happened in the past. So with Hawking radiation, if you want to say that I have faith in Hawking radiation, you need to make a distinction between my standard for the lens Thirring effect and Hawking radiation, which is me telling you that there is no way to currently know whether Hawking radiation is of reality or not. We
Okay.
can merely
If I
suggest that it's a possibility under our
if I
current
pull out
understanding of physics.
if I bring up the Hawkins radiation equation, the mathematical construct that Hawkins came up with, would you understand it?
Yeah, I would.
Okay. So then can you verify its numbers are correct?
I could go through the theory of general relativity and verify that it's a valid solution to the Einstein field equations. Yes.
So what you just said is you can see if something else is correct, and then your conceptualization of what's next, you believe will be correct. That's basically what you just said.
No, not at all. I would not have any way to know. Your favorite quote at the beginning, or one of your quotes at the beginning of your stream, is from Feynman. If it disagrees with experiment, it's wrong. It's a great quote. I do not have the ability to prognosticate on whether or not Hawking radiation is of reality or not at this moment in time. I have no way of knowing that. And nor does any scientist that currently lives. Sean, if either of us could do that, we wouldn't be talking on Discord. We'd be working on our Nobel Prize application, or however that works.
Exactly.
Our acceptance speech. But we can't
and that's why
we can't do that.
So what do we do?
Won the Nobel Prize, as far as I know, for this.
Because Sealion, because we can't do that, right? And let's keep it real, because we are all not capable of it. Some of us are on the path to being able to do it, but realistically, everyone in this VC right now is not capable of doing so. Correct, right?
We are not Nobel Prize tier scientists.
Yes. So would you agree this statement is true? That we have faith that they are leading us in the right direction?
No, not necessarily. I don't necessarily even think that that's true.
Okay, so you don't trust science at all?
No, I do trust science up to the point that, for all practical purposes, we are moving forward. But when it comes to theoretical physics and cosmology,
I'm talking about you. Now, this is not science. This is about you.
Okay, my personal belief is this. I do not know enough currently about the state of cosmology, and I believe there's a lot of holes in the state of cosmology that make me less confident than, for example, where we're moving forward in the standard model of particle physics. Nonetheless, I know of no evidence that general relativity is on track to be falsified. It is likely, just going off of history, that at some point in the future, it will be replaced as a framework. And the issue that I have with general relativity is what happens at large scales cosmologically and what happens at small scales. Those are the issues with the theory as it exists. Nonetheless, it has not yet been falsified, nor has Hawking radiation been falsified. So we cannot say.
There's a difference, though. There's a difference, though, because with general relativity, we are constantly trying to falsify it. Constantly.
Yeah.
And as you stated, Hawking's radiation, there is no way to even conceptualize how to falsify it. So they're not in the same.
There are ways to conceptualize. I'm sure scientists are working.
But we're
not feasible with current tech. That's all.
Yeah,
You think
that doesn't make it. That's not reality. That's just conceptualization.
That's an affirmative statement that Hawking radiation is not of reality.
It's not. It's a conceptualization. It's something that has been conceptualized based on. It's something that's conceptualized based on no observation.
It's not
right.
So this is the issue, though. There was no observation of the lens-Thirring effect either, unless you have a standard that can is based.
There's a solid difference
on the theory.
Solid difference.
Explain to me the difference.
Okay. Why would
without knowing post hoc the results of the lens-Thirring effect, as if you were standing in the room when it was proposed? Tell me how you would tell the scientists that it is of reality.
The second a prediction was not as accurate as it was supposed to be. The second you know that there was something, the second you knew there was a phenomena happening, observable or not, that needed to be calculated for.
Yeah, but the lens-Thirring effect, practically speaking, is not that. It is
okay. So then what would trigger?
It's a minor precession of gyroscopes that is so tiny that a Foucault's pendulum on the surface of the Earth would only precess by 1 degree in 16,000 years. And it was never an effect that was significant for any practical purpose.
Was it measurable to make them go, we need to look at this?
No, not as far as I'm aware. Until they
what was the practice? What was the purpose of them coming up with this theory? Why? There had to be a phenomenon,
Scientists-
right? Right. There's a phenomenon that happens
No,
that
there isn't.
establishes
That's
a
what
reason
I'm
to come
saying.
up with it.
No,
Okay.
that's not the case. That's not
Perfect.
the case
Okay.
at all. Like, that's
So-
the whole point of physics. We do not
Okay.
have the luxury of observable phenomena up front for all of these things. And when
No,
you're
no, no.
talking
Oh,
about
okay.
cosmology,
Okay. Hang on. I'm not trying to say that they should be able to explain everything correctly and not be
no, but
incorrect.
you seem to be saying that we should have an observed natural phenomena.
No.
priori.
That's fun. That's ridiculous to think. Okay, then that's the problem. Understand this. I understand that what we know of science, right? Of science, all the science. I'm not even talking about us. I'm talking about the really smart fucking minds and everything that is to be known. We probably only know less than 1% of what's to be known, right? So far, I understand that completely. So I understand that there are explanations that are going to encompass understanding and knowledge that hasn't been observed. I get that. I'm not saying these things are fake. What I'm trying to establish to you is that there is a line of faith, a line of trust, a line of expectations in the trusted fields to give us information that cannot be verified. And I know that because we have competing theories. We have theories that get stronger. You have theories that become weaker based on this line of verification and falsibility that we have. Right? So far, same thing, right?
Yeah, but here's the issue. So the issue that I have is that I don't think you have a consistent standard of when we should apply trust and when we shouldn't. I think that your
I absolutely
standard.
do. I
No, I
absolutely
don't think
do.
you do. So
Okay,
distinguish
ready?
between Hawking radiation and the lens flaring effect. I've asked you to do
No.
that.
I will distinguish exactly what you just asked me to.
Okay, go for it.
The second faith, trust is perfectly fine, is once it meets above my means of capability and application. For example, I personally can tell you how long or how I can personally shoot a ballistic missile. I can personally launch a rocket. I personally cannot calculate the time dilation that a satellite would have to be calibrated to be able to have a satellite that works. That is me trusting that GR is correct and that they got that time dilation thing figured the fuck out and they can give me the conclusion without me having to verify it myself. Is that wrong? That seems pretty accurate in how science works altogether.
Sorry, I had a minor issue that happened in the background. Can you repeat that one more time?
Ask me the question again.
So I want you to distinguish your standard of when it is appropriate to apply faith, science, or trust, let's say, because I think faith is charged. But I'm fine with faith for the purposes of this debate. When it is appropriate and when it isn't.
Yes, when it is above my means and capabilities and applied reality.
Okay, but every day that's the case.
Yeah, I do a lot of trusting. There's a lot of faith based in my life. I have faith that my son is going to bust his ass in football and he's going to fucking be a pro star. I have a lot of things that I establish in faith, which is how I also know you do too. The only difference is I'm willing to admit it.
I'm willing to admit it too. Every time I get on an airplane, I'm willing to admit that every time I get on an airplane, I haven't individually verified all of the science and engineering that will ensure that I don't fall out of the sky to my fucking death.
Perfect.
The issue I'm having is I think you're just
the distinction.
The distinction is you have said multiple times that Hawking radiation is not of reality. Now, if you want to say that's a personal opinion and belief, then I don't think there's any definition.
No, it's by definition.
It's not by definition. That's just Dixit.
Okay. The world or the state of things as they actually exist, as opposed to an idealistic or a notional idea of them. So, which standard does Hawkins stand under? Is it of actual existence? Yes or no?
We cannot. I keep saying this. You or I cannot. No. You are making a post hoc fallacy.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot distinguish. Again, if we were in the room when the lens flaring effect
Mhm.
was proposed, we would have
Yeah.
no ability to assess whether it was of reality or not. Do you agree that nonetheless, at that moment, it was of reality?
What was happening was reality. The lens contraction, no, was not.
You don't think
Is
that the
that better
lens
for
flaring
you?
effect is of reality? I'm not talking about lens
Nope. No,
contraction.
no, 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 no.
Talking about the
Before testing, before acknowledgement, before the term, what that term describes has always happened before humans. What
okay.
you are describing only became a thing, only became of reality when they decided to give it a name, right? We play this stupid game with flat earthers all the time, right? It's a concept, it's a name, blah, 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 blah. That is what brings it to our reality. When I say reality, it is our reality. I get that gravity and all these other things were things before we named them. 100,000,000%. There's no argument there. But reality, when I say reality, when I read the definition for reality, it is literally the acknowledgement of it being in existence, it not being just an idyllic notion, it not being a conceptual notion. That is what reality is. So when you say something like Hawkins radiation and all these things that happened before we knew how to test it and verify it, yes, what was happening was there, but no, I'm sorry, it was not of reality.
That's a completely incoherent standard, Sean.
It's not at all.
It is absolutely, because you don't have,
Okay.
it's just based on your personal ability to understand. You have and you're applying a post hoc standard of what is or
I
isn't
don't.
reality, and that's inappropriate.
What
We
are you
have to
talking
have a
about? I am literally okay.
standard.
Let me ask
We
you.
have to have
I
a
can do this one more
consistent
time.
standard
How
of
about this? How about this?
intelligibility.
How about
We have to
this?
have a
Let me
consistent
do this.
standard of intelligibility that is
Okay.
a
Let me do
priori.
this. Okay. Let me do this then. I'm gonna do it. I promise you, this will be the last time I read this fucking definition. Reality. Tell me where to stop as I'm reading. So I want you to cut me off to tell me when I get to the part that has any descriptive power of Hawkins radiation.
Okay, go for it.
The world, the state of things as they actually are. So far?
Stop.
Okay.
You've already
Keep talking.
assumed, you're pre-assuming that Hawking radiation is not of reality.
I have not. Okay, I want to make something clear. I have just read the definition. All I've asked is for you to establish if something I have said correlates with Hawkins radiation. I already know the answer. You are okay. So wait. So okay, what part of Hawkins radiation actually exists?
So we cannot say for certain what part does or doesn't. But
Okay.
you are making an affirmative claim of what
And
does
until
not.
then, until we can, it is not of reality.
Well,
It
that's
is
your
not.
opinion.
No, it's by definition. It's literally by definition. Okay, so is the definition I'm reading wrong?
Literally just ipsy dixit. That's all it is.
Okay.
You are applying your
So what
interpretation.
does actually exist mean?
Actually exists means that there is something out there independent of our mind that is physical, that is not necessarily tangible, that is nonetheless empirically measurable.
Wait,
You cannot show that is
you
not
can't
the case for Hawking radiation. You can't.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. What? I know that's a fallacy. I wish I knew what fallacy that was. But you basically telling me because I can't say this, or because you can't say this, I can't say this, doesn't make it of reality. When I say of reality, I am literally reading this. I am literally reading a definition.
I'm not taking the contrary position of your statement that it's not reality. That's what you're not understanding.
Okay.
I am taking there's currently we cannot assess the truth value of the statement Hawking radiation is of reality. We can only suggest that it is a possibility that Hawking radiation exists. There is no scientific reason that I'm aware of, unless you can present me with something that would preclude Hawking radiation from existing. And even if that were the case, it wouldn't necessarily be the case that it's not real.
How many theories are based on Hawkins radiation explains how a black hole will act based
I
on
don't know.
Hawkins radiation?
I have no idea. I don't study this phenomena at a graduate level.
It's not a it's not a phenomena. It's not a phenomena.
Well, that's
I'll
your
tell you
claim.
that. Wait,
You
so
did.
do we have to do what's a phenomena?
A phenomena is something that can be observed external to the mind.
Can Hawkins radiation be observed?
I don't know, and you don't know either.
That makes it not a phenomena. Okay, we can play the semantics game. We can play the semantics game of what reality is and what a concept is. But there's one thing that I am absolutely positive on. If it's not observable, it is not a phenomena.
You don't know that it's not observable. That's just ipsy dixit. Sean says so, therefore it's true.
Has it been okay? Has it been observed?
No, but it hasn't.
So is it classified as a phenomena?
It could be a phenomena. We don't know yet.
Is it classified as a phenomena?
It could be. We don't know yet.
No. Again, this is a very simple question I'm asking you. Currently, is it classified as a phenomena? Hello?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
If a phenomena has to have been observed, then no.
A phenomena has to be observed.
But that's the thing, though. The lens-Thurring effect was a phenomenon. We just hadn't observed it yet.
No, it wasn't a phenomenon until we were able to test and verify it, and then we were able to observe its effects. That would become the phenomenon.
No, but that tells us then that your standard is solipsism, and you don't have a standard of an objective reality in any sense.
I do.
Because in order for something to be reality in your view, humans have to physically have observed it. But I'm telling you that many things that have observed.
I 100% believe. I 100% believe things can be of reality based on my faith.
You believe that?
Absolutely. Have you ever been to South Pole? I bet you have faith that exists based on others' experiences. That's faith.
Well, I don't.
That's reality.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. At the end of the day, I have evidence and a standard of evidence that I try to stay consistent with. That nonetheless, I haven't personally observed. I haven't been to everywhere on the planet. I haven't observed that GPS signal is 100% coverage of the planet, nor has any individual person. But I have no reasonable standard of doubt that that is not the case. When it comes to Hawking radiation, I would make no such claim because I am not in any position to establish whether or not that is a true feature of reality or an incorrect solution to the Einstein field equations. And neither can you.
Yeah, you're right. We have no way to verify it, test it, or anything.
That's not what I said, Sean. That's not what I said.
No, that's no. That's okay. You have said this, and
I didn't say that.
Wait, okay. Wait. Is there currently and possibly in the future a way to test and verify Hawking's radiation?
Possibly in the future, absolutely.
Yes. That's all I just said. So what did I say that's wrong?
You have said multiple times that Hawking radiation is not of reality.
Again, that was 10, 15 minutes ago. I haven't said that in a while.
Okay, but regardless, you still made that affirmative claim.
Okay, perfect. And that's when we came to the established fact that you must apply faith for general relativity, right?
Yeah, absolutely. But you do as well.
I did name one time in this whole conversation in the days we've been talking about this I've ever said I don't.
You are putting classes of solutions to the Einstein field equations in the category of not reality.
I am telling you,
you are selectively suspending faith, and I don't think you have a good standard for that.
No, I am identifying where the faith is in your general relativity. That's all I am doing. I am not confirming or
But
denying
the
anything.
entirety for you, Sean, the entirety
Huh?
of general relativity is faith-based.
Yes, I have I have almost zero understanding
Okay.
to be. I couldn't teach someone general relativity. You're right, 100%,
Okay.
100%.
Okay, gotcha. So then
Yeah.
you cannot make truth statements that something is not of reality within general relativity.
Again, we have already established that under the firm basis of the definition of reality, that Hawking's radiation does not apply. And
No,
currently,
that's not true.
it doesn't.
Not
Okay.
true.
Does,
No,
okay. Fine.
that's just
Okay.
it. You're making an
Currently,
appeal
does it?
to a
God, I
definition.
don't. Why do we have to keep doing this? Like literally,
Because
Hawking's
I'm not
radiation
going to
is
agree.
a
Hold on.
big.
Yeah. Let's give each other some space. Sean,
Go
finish
ahead.
your point and then pass
No,
the
no, no.
mic.
Go ahead, Seal. Go ahead, man.
Jesus Christ, there's fucking drama happening in the background. I'm sorry, Sean.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay. So here's what I'm saying. From the beginning of this conversation, we both agreed, and maybe flat earthers can rag on me later for saying this, that which has not been personally verified requires some level of faith.
Yes.
I think that there is a reasonable standard of that I can apply based on my own discernment, and I try to maintain a consistent standard of doing so. That being said, I do not believe that either of us in this debate can make a statement either way as to the truth value of something like Hawking radiation or dark matter or dark energy for that matter.
Mhm.
Because
I
we are
agree.
not in a position
And
to
again,
assess whether it's of reality or not. But you're trying to say, definitionally that it is
Yeah.
not of reality. And Sean, I just disagree that we can make a definitional claim. So, I mean, we can go back and forth on this. I don't really know where we're going to get to.
Well, it's very clear. And I don't know if maybe you were thinking past the points that were being supposed to be made for this whole conversation, but at no point in time did I ever say that I didn't have faith in science. I'm not sure.
I'm not trying to say you didn't. I'm not trying to strawman you like that. But I'm saying that you are suspending your faith in general relativity in the case of Hawking radiation without sufficient evidence to support that.
No, I have plenty of evidence in my reality and our applied reality and your reality. The basis to have a phenomena, the basis to have a theory, the basis to have something that you can consider actually existing must be tangible. The same way in your explanation about the Lorentz thing, before it was tested and verifiable, I don't think it was
now you're saying that something has to be tangible, but why? Why does something have to be tangible?
Isn't that how you verify something? What would be the verification part of it?
No, you verify it
explain it.
on other things. Many
Say
things, physics,
Say it again.
Are virtual particles tangible, Sean?
No, it's a concept.
Okay, so
it's a conceptual ideology about how things could work.
Okay, so is the Casimir effect therefore false?
I don't know what the Casimir effect is.
When you place two plates together in a vacuum, there's a force that's created between them that is modeled precisely using the existence of virtual particles, for example. So what I'm telling you is you are suspending your standard of faith.
Virtual particles aren't a reality.
Well, that's your claim. Again, Ipsy Dixit. Sean doesn't like it. Therefore, you suspend your standard of faith.
Okay, so our virtual particles are real. Pretty simple.
Insofar as they exist outside of the mind, and they are a way of modeling reality, yes. Otherwise, we could say that nothing is real, not even matter is real.
Again, okay, can you observe a virtual phenomenon? Or again, this is just like math. It's a situation where you're trying to say one explains it, but it is reality. Math isn't reality. We've already established this. The same way that a virtual particle wouldn't be reality, it would just be a way of trying to explain what is reality.
Well, now you're changing your standard.
I'm not changing my standard. I'm literally saying the same thing. Okay.
No, you're not
Earlier,
changing.
so earlier I didn't ask you if Hawking's radiation equations were reality. I didn't ask that.
So now you're saying now that there's a conception. I'm saying that we can look and we see, in some sense, the spontaneous generation and destruction of virtual particles. That is an observable phenomenon, and that is an explanation of the chaos. Yeah.
Do that last part again.
If we look into the void in a lab, in some area that should, in quotes, should be empty.
Wait, what?
We observe virtual particles appearing and disappearing. That is called the 0 point energy.
Wow, that was a weird way you explained that. Yeah, that's a weird way you explain that, because virtual particles aren't observed in that situation. A phenomena is observed, and virtual particles are their way of being able to explain it. It is not of action. It's not of reality.
That's how all of is heat of reality, Sean.
Yeah, it's a descriptor. It explains it. It explains what particles are doing.
What's the issue with Hawking radiation, Sean?
The verifiable part of it, the testable part.
Okay,
I can test what conductive heat is. I can test all those established things that would show the parameters of that. Again, it could be a situation of in the future. I get it. I'm not saying it's fake and faking gay, right? I'm not doing that. I'm not sure if that's what you think my argument is.
I understand that, but you cannot say that it is necessarily not of reality just on the basis of us not having observed it yet.
Okay. Oh, okay. Wait, does this change it? Hang on. Does this change my statement for you at all?
Right,
it is not of current reality. Does that make it better for you?
It doesn't change it at all, Sean, because it very well might be of current reality. Hawking radiation.
Well, again, like I said, gravity was like I said, gravity wasn't gravity before we termed it gravity. It just was. It just was. Okay, so wait. So before we termed this thing gravity, it didn't exist before that. Wrong, right? It did, right? The effects.
The effects were the same.
Way before. Way before we tried, but way before we ever went, what is? Like, right? It is what it is, right? It's a great term. Is what it is. Yeah. Okay. When that was happening during that time, better yet, when the cavemen were around, gravity wasn't a thing. Shit fell, but gravity wasn't a thing. Why? Because gravity is a way of explaining a phenomenon which we observe. Am I wrong?
Well, I would say that gravity is the act. So gravity itself is a property of the geometry of space-time, as far as we can tell.
Again, those are all you're just playing an imaginary station again, man. Come back with me here. Stay on point with me. When the cavemen were walking, when the cavemen were walking around,
yes,
and one of them fell and hit the ground.
He followed a geodesic.
Again, just listen.
Yes, he did.
That caveman fell. That caveman did not fall because of gravity, because gravity was not a thing. Gravity is a descriptive power. Gravity is a descriptive power of a phenomena in which we are trying to explain. You understand this, right? Same fucking situation. All we're doing is trying to give names to phenomena that which we are trying to explain. So gravity did not exist during the cavemen. What we are explaining did, but gravity did not. Do you understand this part? This is the same concept as what you're trying to explain about how in the future we'll be able to explain these things. Okay. That's your opinion.
Because at the end of the day, the planet was still moving according to a geodesic within space.
These descriptors.
That's still an observable fact.
Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have
a observable fact
at the time.
or a name.
tools to observe it as such at the time.
or name.
Nonetheless,
Yep.
the same way that heat and combustion still occurred, the same way, the same thing is occurring.
Yeah.
So you're again, this is where the ad hoc post-diction piece comes in, or not post-diction, but you're doing I don't know what the name of the going backwards in an inappropriate way is. We know.
I don't understand what part is going backwards in this simple fact of understanding of how we know things for the future. That's why I don't understand why you think I'm going backwards. In reality, I'm officially going forward because your standards are what's going up and down. It's either one way or another way. That's just the reality of it. Things either existed. Do things exist before our acknowledgement? No. Does whatever is happening happen before our acknowledgement? Yes. Okay. So listen.
Things don't exist before acknowledgement.
For any explanational power, yes, correct. Animals that we have never discovered that we don't know exist,
they nonetheless exist.
How that works?
The laws of biology still apply to them.
Until acknowledgement, us explaining it is based on our faith in what we think we know about an object. Correct?
No.
Okay, so fine. Unicorns are real. I'm going to give you descriptive power behind it. How real does it make it just because I gave you a description?
You cannot provide a biologically valid description of a unicorn.
Why not?
You can't. Show me that you can.
Why?
You're making an affirmative claim again.
Okay, fine.
Because
show me unicorn. Perfect. Under your guides, I'm going to.
Unless you're just defining the unicorn.
Show me the unicorn DNA. So that you can show me that it's not possible for a fucking horse and an elk to make a unicorn.
There is the species, Sean, cannot reproduce if they do not have a certain level of genetic overlap. And even in the cases where such genetic overlap exists,
wait. Like primaries, like those are real, dude. They do that shit.
Did you know that they can't reproduce, Sean?
Okay, I didn't say they have to. You can make one unicorn, or if they made one unicorn, it's real. It's of reality. You don't need one.
You're saying now you have to appeal to the intervention of humans. So you're saying, okay, there may have been some chimera.
What the hell do you think? What do you think science is? Science is the interaction of the humans interacting with nature and explaining it. Everything we're talking about is us putting our fingers into it and explaining it in our own methods. The reality of it is when you keep saying gravity and Lorentz was the thing before it was fucking verified, yeah, but they had to test it for it to become verified. Otherwise, it wasn't a thing. But 100 years ago, was it a thing? No.
Did the speed of light was the speed of light constant before Einstein postulated it as constant?
The speed of light was not constant until we verified it was constant.
That's a completely incoherent standard, Sean.
Okay. How do you know something is something unless you've verified it's something? It's very simple. This is not I'm not trying to play a mind game with you. I'm not playing word games with you. It's literally a situation of you understanding that
you're applying now a completely incoherent standard of intelligibility.
No, I'm really not. I'm trying to make you understand that there's a clear difference between what is of reality, like I was saying, and what is verifiable, like I was saying, and what is considered a phenomenon under science, like I was saying. And we've already established, and we established what reality is. We both know what a phenomena is. We both established that it must be observable to be a phenomena.
No, I don't think that's the case, actually.
I know. I remember you distinctly saying that. But can you describe a phenomena that is not observed? Because of the definition of a phenomenon,
the lens stirring effect prior to it being observed.
Are you sure you're not going to become a flat earther? Because we're having to do a lot of definition games that I don't feel like we should. Do I really need to look up the definition of phenomena right now? Really?
Look,
do I?
Sean,
I'll do it right now.
Phenomena. I have one for you right here. I have done all of this before.
A fact or situation that is observed to exist or happen, especially one of those caused by explanation in questions. A remark, a person,
you have an incorrect.
Okay, my bad.
One at a time, guys. One at a time.
A property of the natural world. That's and so something that is observable So a natural phenomenon refers to observable events or occurrences in the natural world that can be understood and exploited through
Are
scientific
you ready to
investigation.
apologize? So you're going to
No,
apologize.
I'm not.
Right?
No,
Okay,
because
let me just do this one more time. Is a phenomena must the
Sean.
phenomena be observed?
No, it just has to be
A
observable.
natural. Okay.
You're not. You've never addressed the foundational example, Sean. The lens throwing phenomena was not observed. It's still a phenomenon, Sean. It doesn't suddenly pop into existence when we observe it. It existed prior to the observation. The standard is that it can be.
When was it verified? When was it verified?
I'll look up the exact details.
I'm sorry.
for you.
I'm sorry. How was it? I'm sorry. Just no quick. How was it verified?
With Gravity Probe B, it was a very, very difficult experiment. Essentially, what they had to do is they had to place a system of 4 gyroscopes in a satellite orbiting the Earth at 400 miles in a polar orbit. And then they measured a very, very tiny precession, something like 10 to the negative 4 arc seconds of precession. And that's why they needed 4 gyroscopes. We couldn't observe that phenomenon before we created that apparatus. That doesn't mean it wasn't there. Do you not see why that's a problem with your definition? It's not that it has to be observed to be a phenomena. It's that it has to be observable. And that's the thing with Hawking radiation. It does not that we have to have observed Hawking radiation for it to be a phenomenon.
And in what fashion would it be observable?
I can't tell
you. What would it take?
Right.
Okay. This would be the best. Okay, hang on. Okay, this is called a think tank, and this is what we're going to do. So one of the ways, because this is something you do, and this concept comes up, and you actually think about it. One of the ways that we would be able to verify whether or not Hawking's radiation was of reality was once it would be the only way for it to become an observable phenomena would be literally us being able to go beyond the event horizon, because in that we would have be able to have an accurate okay, so then how would you? Okay, perfect. How would you?
So I don't know.
Then how are you telling me? Wait, yes, fuck yeah, I am. How the fuck would you? How are you going to tell me I don't know, and then say you don't know? I am making an assumption. I'm not a fucking scientist. Exactly. So then don't tell me no the same way I can't tell you it's not a reality, right?
Right. Yeah. Let's see Lion respond to it.
You're not in a position to make a truth statement on whether it is an observable phenomena or not. Your problem is, this is the problem with your standard. It is ad hoc based on your ability to understand things, which is fine, but it reduces your standard to just ipsy dixit. Sean says so. That's it.
I never said that. Never said that at once. I am literally the best part about it is because the standard that I'm trying to apply upon this is basically the definitional standard, right? We've already established these things.
Fallacy. I provided you with an alternative definition.
I'm doing what?
You're making an appeal to definition fallacy.
Oh, okay. Well, I literally went to natural phenomena. I literally went to a natural phenomena.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have a better definition than you.
Perfect. Okay. Your definition upon what you're trying to say is still based on exactly what we started off talking about. The level amount of faith that you have in these things because they are not tangible. We've already agreed upon this. I don't know what you're still arguing.
That I have faith in Hawking radiation, Sean.
You have faith in what are you talking about? You have faith in it's correct. You have faith
I don't.
in predictive power. You don't?
I don't give a damn thing about Hawking radiation. I am not in any way attached to the idea.
There's anything that is not tangible. Like you were saying, anything that cannot be verified, falsified, to me didn't fall into those lines easily. Those are the things that you have faith in, and you've already established that. Again, I understand. Fine, I understand you don't care about the topic of Hawking's radiation, but again, we have basically doubled back to the beginning of the conversation, even though we've already established the fact that what I was been trying to say to you for days, we've already established that there is 1,000% a level of faith that you carry.
No, I'm not, because I don't require faith to take a
I'm gonna.
position.
I promise you,
It's
I'm gonna
not
get
gonna
all
be
these little
affirmative.
clips
Hold
of
on,
every time
Sean.
you say you
Okay,
don't
Hold on,
say
Sean.
something,
go
and you
ahead,
did
go
say
ahead.
something.
Let's
Okay,
let
go ahead.
Sealion finish his point here,
Go
though.
ahead. It'll be a great experience for me to approve my interlocution. I am saying it does not require faith to make a suspension of judgment as to the nature of whether Hawking radiation is in reality or not.
A lot of general relativity. Well, we can be more blanket
Yeah, but
about
this
it.
isn't
That's
even
what
an
it
aspect of
is about.
general relativity.
It is an aspect. It is an aspect of. It's not explained by, right. Einstein didn't come up with fucking Hawking's radiation.
But how is Hawking radiation derived?
Wait, say it again. Oh yeah,
How is Hawking radiation derived?
yeah, wanting to know what happens to black holes.
Okay, but at the end of the day, you now again you have Sean's Dixit standard.
Oh, wait. Okay, fine. Why did he come up with Hawking's radiation?
Because it is a logical application.
What the fuck is logical about knowing what happens inside of a black hole? It's not logical. It's literally exactly that. It's literally the situation of him just wanting to know, or him trying to figure out what happens to a black hole.
Yeah.
There's no logical necessity for it. What's the necessity for it?
There's not a necessity for a lot of things.
Perfect. Yeah, you're 100% right. Again, don't make the argument. Stop coming at me like I'm trying. Hang on. Stop coming at me like I'm trying to say that general relativity or science is wrong. It's very odd. Keep doing it.
I'm not. I'm just saying that you have Sean's Ipsy Dixit standard of something not being reality.
Just standards in reality, man. The reality of it is that a lot to do with science has a lot to do with the faith, because you can't verify it your fucking self, or the fact that it's not. I know you never said that. I guarantee you never said that, but you have said that you do understand that you do apply a level of faith when it comes to a lot of the things you can't personally verify.
Correct, Sean. But you
okay, so then again, what are you now? Okay, now that I've established that you do have faith in your science, what is the argument? Because that is exactly what I've been arguing with you about for 3 fucking days. Now, what do you think I've been arguing with you about?
You're making an affirmative claim about something that you are in no position to make an affirmative claim about.
You know what? You're right. You're right. The position that I was going for this whole debate, I did not have to make the position. You said it your fucking self. You just said it.
No, I didn't. I never made a true statement about Hawking radiation. I have never done
Again,
that.
Hawking's radiation is a subtopic of a subtopic of a subtopic of the conversation we're having. This conversation, okay, you got to be on focus, man. No, you really do. You got to stay on focus. I've been talking about this for 3 days. There's 1,000 clips of exactly what this debate's about. This debate was based on the fact that a lot of faith is used in general relativity.
Okay, and all I'm telling you is that your standard for distinguishing whether something is in reality or not is incoherent.
Okay. Is there?
And I've given you an example.
Do you hold the position of a lot of faith? Hang on. Do you hold a lot of your positions in science are based in faith?
In the sense that I have not independently verified the results of most fields of science.
Okay. So then I want you to answer this question. Hang on. What was this whole argument that me and you started? It's not even an argument. It's just bickering like little fucking kids. It's fun. What has my point been? What has my stance been on this whole point? Because if you say fucking Hawking's radiation not of reality, I'm going to be pissed.
That is the key contingent point, Sean, because that is the basis of the problem I have with your epistemology. If we can agree, you cannot, and I cannot distinguish the truth value of Hawking radiation as of right now, then we will be 100% on the same page, Sean.
Okay. Was Hawking's radiation the point of contention for this debate?
It has become so.
No, your I don't know why, your opinion, your argument of power, I don't know why, but you have made it that.
Because
I have established because what I've established from the very beginning, from before tonight, for the 3 days that we've actually, kind of really gone back and forth with this, I have established that you I wouldn't say unknowingly, unadmittedly apply most of what general relativity describes as faith. Is
Well,
that statement wrong?
I have not personally verified it. And in that sense, I'm placing faith in the scientists. That is a true statement.
Okay.
However,
Then thank you.
however,
No, wait. There's no heaven. There is no heaven.
Oh, no,
That
there
is
is
exactly
however.
that was the point of this whole debate and this whole conversation.
Let's
Hold
let
on.
him get his however in.
Hold on. This is the problem, though, Sean, because then you want to extend to say that certain things are not in reality, and then you made a bunch of statements about things being natural phenomena and requiring things to be observed in order to be natural phenomena. That entire standard, I reject,
Perfect. Fine.
and I
Fine.
reject
Does
the
that
ability.
change? Does that change the fact that faith plays a big part in science?
No, and I never said it did from the beginning, Sean.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And I
When did I
will
say
bring up
that?
those clips. At least the 3 times. I will say for a fact on my panel 2 days ago, Monday.
I told you that faith
That's-
doesn't play any role in science.
Yes, you said that there was nothing to do with faith in general relativity. Faith was not part of it.
Well,
There's
okay,
no
then it
faith in
depends
it.
how we define faith. But as we've defined
We
faith in
did.
the context of this debate, can you define it again for me?
Yeah, to have
You
trust
define,
in some. Say again. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
define it for me as we define it in this debate.
Okay, yeah. Let me pull it back up. Because I've been reading from the exact same definitions that I had pulled up. Where is it? Where is my faith? There it is. Oh, okay. Faith, a complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
I don't have a complete trust in any scientific endeavor. Pretty
You have
much.
confidence in something or something?
I have confidence, yes, but complete trust,
Okay.
no.
No,
And
wait. It's not one thing. It's complete trust
Mm-hmm.
or confidence in someone or something.
I have confidence, as you've defined faith,
Mhm.
Sean.
Yes.
So here's the problem, and here's probably why I inconsistent on your panel earlier. Faith, as it appears in these debates, has a connotation, and it has many definitions. And people want to make the statement that there's this thing called scientism, which is entirely faith-based and pseudoscientific. So when I hear science is based on faith in these contexts, I didn't say you said that. I didn't say you said that. But you have to understand where I'm approaching this topic from, because I've been debating in the flat earth community for the last 2 months. So every time a flat earther says science is based on faith, I am in a position where I have to interpret that definition within their context of materialism versus spirituality and a belief that scientism is pseudoscientific because it's based on.
Did I ever say that science
No.
was pseudo? Did I
No.
ever say that it was spiritual?
No. So I accept your definition of faith. I don't have a problem with that.
Okay. You're saying prior to our prior conversations had so much pushback because you were thinking I was saying some type of other's faith without verifying what faith I was talking about.
Yes, because it has a connotation, and words have connotation.
Is that a me problem or a you problem?
Sean, I think it's a context of the debate problem. When words have a connotation, people react to them in a certain way. Faith, as it pertains to science,
is it my fault? Okay.
Oh no,
Is
it's
it
not
your fault or my fault? Definitely not my fault. It would be on you to want the clarification of faith.
Okay, fair enough.
Because I read the definition of faith at least 7 times, and at no time in this whole debate did I ever once classify anything about science as spiritual or
Yes, you did, Sean. You
No,
yes,
I
you
never
did.
once said it was spiritual.
Yes,
Never.
you did,
Where?
Sean.
When? Oh, what part?
You compared
Uh,
Hawking radiation to the existence of God directly.
no, I did. No, I did not. Not
Yes, you
directly.
did, Sean.
Not
Yes, you
directly.
did.
Not
Yes, you
directly.
did. Yes, you
Not
did,
directly.
Sean.
I did
You
not. Well,
said
hey, good
you
thing. Good
challenged
thing this
me.
shit's. Hey, good thing this shit's recorded.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a good thing because you said
And the best part is I did bring up God in this conversation, but it sure as hell was not to compare Hawkins radiation and God. And the reason is this. I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly why.
okay.
Because whereas Hawkins radiation has a mathematical explanation, God does not. So where would I have compared the two? What was my what did I compare? How did I compare? What was the question?
You
This is how I
said
know I didn't say it.
no, you did say it though, Sean. You
Okay.
said
Then
it.
go ahead.
You said how is Hawking radiation different from a god? Essentially, that's what you said. Because I
I
was
said,
telling you,
and
I was
it's
telling you,
observable power, and I literally said and finished that quote, and it's observable power. Finish the quote. Don't fucking chop it up and then use what you like.
I'm not chopping up and splicing anything, Sean. I'm just
Okay,
trying.
did I say and it's observable power? Did I say because I remembered this? I remember comparing observing Hawkins radiation with God coming back. I did not compare it as in saying that it was any type of the equation was any type of spiritual. Never once. That's how I know because
we talked. Do you remember why
do you
we
want me to say it
talked about
again? Did you just hear me tell you what I did say? Because I remember what I said.
Oh,
I literally
Sean,
gave you the comparison of you saying between the current and the future may happen. And I made the comparison of us observing it and observing God. I did not compare it to be something spiritual.
You said
Never once.
supernatural. You talked about fucking ghosts, Sean.
We did talk about supernatural. We that was the distinguishing power between reality, distinguishing between observable phenomena, reality, and things that can be tested and verified. That's when that was brought up.
Then you compared it and you made a false equivalency to Hawking radiation. Thank you.
I did not. Never
Yes,
once
you did.
compared spirituality. Oh,
Yes,
luckily again, it is recorded. I know I didn't because I remember
I was gonna
exactly
say,
what the argument was. Because I literally have it written down in front of me, that argument about being verified and being able to verify it and falsify it. And the main problem I have with it is the observable part and the fact that things being observed bring it upon what? It's not observed. Stop saying that.
I can't say for certain that it's observable, but you cannot say it's not observable.
No, you said observed.
No, I never said that Hawking radiation was observed.
Okay, perfect. Because that's exactly what I was given the comparison to. Be something being observed. I don't know if you're listening or not.
You're making
I am making
between the natural and supernatural. That's why
I know. I am making an equivalency to something that is observable. Period.
So do you now say that categorically Hawking radiation is nothing like a supernatural thing?
I never said it was supernatural. Not once.
Okay, so therefore Hawking radiation is best understood within the context of natural science.
Yeah, it's a concept in natural science. Perfect. Okay. It's not real.
Okay.
It's not. Well,
there you go. Now you're making an affirmative claim again. See, Dixon, Sean, Hawking radiation isn't real.
Well, you know what? Ghosts aren't real. All these other things aren't real.
There you go again. There you go again. False equivalence.
What makes something of reality? We'll do this again. I love that we're doing this all over.
So many fucking times. You want me to go through it?
I'm literally wanting to go through it. I'm doing it for myself. I'm literally going over it again. I'm literally going over it again because I would love to figure out the part where I said that Hawkins radiation was of any type of spirituality.
You just did it again.
Because that would imply that I was saying it was a religion. And I never said that. I said it was based in faith. I thought the general religion thing was. I figured that was a joke. Like that was haha.
Yeah, but you just made a comparison to ghosts again.
Yeah, that was. I also wasn't being serious on that last one.
It's hard to tell, Sean.
I know it's very hard to tell when reality is coming in and when reality isn't. It's fucking amazing.
So
Yeah, but
We're,
you are not
we're
in a position to make that determination. You have no
Okay.
ability.
I
make
am not
those
saying
statements.
Hawkins radiation is fake. Have you ever heard me say that?
You said it is not of reality.
It is
Many
not
times.
of the observer. Yeah, I've also and the first time I said that, you had a problem with it. The second time you had a problem, and I said it, and then I distinguished it to something observable, testable, right? Didn't I?
You said observed.
I didn't talk about being falsified and testing it and observed. I never said those things.
Said observed, Sean.
Okay. Did I not say those other things
You-
as
you
well?
clashed on the definition of natural phenomena because your definition of natural phenomena was based on it
We're
being
not.
observed.
I am
Mine was
talking
based on it
about
being
the whole
observable.
conversation. I know you're pinning
I
yourself
know,
to one
Sean.
thing again, but we are talking about the whole conversation, which goes again away from what the whole debate was even about. You keep
No,
talking about You keep talking about Hawkins radiation. Never once said it was spiritual. Never said it was a religion. That was
just
a
compared
fucking
it to
joke.
ghosts.
Again, that's supernatural. It's not spiritual. Anyway,
Oh,
again,
okay. So
when
now you're making
oh Jesus fucking, you are. I am
no.
literally stating.
all right,
Okay, I am literally
all right.
stating
You need
that
to-
you
hold on.
based your shit on as a fucking
Okay.
faith, and now you are going back to Hawkins radiation for some odd fucking reason. In the same token, I have said many times. I've said many times that I am not saying Hawkins radiation is fake. So, what is your stance? I don't get it.
My stance is that you cannot say, Sean, without it
I
just
never
being.
said it's fake. Stop it.
I never
Hold
claimed
on.
that it.
Yeah, all right.
You
So you
cannot
guys got to
say.
stop talking over each other, and we're coming up on the 3 hour mark. Do we want to maybe wrap this up here in the next half hour?
Yes,
But like,
please.
let's keep the over talk over.
Let's do a
please.
question and let's do like a question and answer thing.
Sure.
It's going to be my verification if Sealion has gone flat Earth, because if he does, he'll get really disrespectful of dead people. That was a joke. It was a fucking joke. Jesus
All right,
Christ.
Sean. Okay, Sean. Yeah,
It was
I've been
play
spending
on
time
Bev, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I've been spending too much time with Bev. That's for sure. Sean, the Hawking radiation.
I don't want to
Is
talk
the
about Hawkins
key-
radiation anymore.
I know you don't, Sean, but I'm not
I'm
going to let
so
you
sick
talk
of
about
it.
I'm
It's
not
not
gonna
off
let
the
you
hook.
talk.
It's we're going in circles, damn it. And the reality is Hawkins radiation is just a mathematical equation, and that's all it is. It's
It
it.
is more than that, Sean. It is
No,
a
it's a
logically
mathematical equation.
contingent- Do you think that mathematics is equivalent to physics?
No.
So, in the case of Hawking radiation, do you think there is no physical basis for Hawking radiation in any observed
No.
phenomena?
Not in that equation. No.
Then you're wrong. You're incorrect, Sean.
So what observation has been made to show that a black hole decays?
That's not what I said, Sean. I said
Okay, what is Hawkins radiation?
Hawking
Yes, I
radiation, as I understand it, is a phenomena of radiation occurring from a black hole. I don't understand the phenomena that well. What I do know is that it is based on observed physical laws.
No, it's not. It's
You
not.
don't
Oh,
have
I'm sorry.
any basis
I
that
fucked up.
it
You know what?
existed.
Hey, go ahead, finish, because I fucked up. I thought you were gonna say something else. Go ahead, say it again.
You are just ipsy dixieing left and right. You're down ipsy dixit alley.
That's not what you were gonna say. Finish what you were gonna say.
Sean
It's
said
not. It's not of. It's
Oh.
not of. Continue what you were saying.
Sean set up his little ipsy dixit shop, and he's peddling out little ipsy dixits.
Is that what you
left
call?
and right.
Is that what you call it when it's a situation where you don't want to have to say yes or no? Is that what that is? Ipsy Dixie. What is that? What's that mean?
Dixit, who derived from the great Gregory, is because I say so, and that's what you're doing.
Absolutely not. That's absolutely not. And
Yes,
luckily,
it is.
this is recorded and people can hear for them fucking selves. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You're doing that, if anything, because I'm telling you that I have. That's the best part. I'm telling you that I'm having faith in these things because I don't have the ability to do it myself. And you're telling me I'm saying it is because I say so. You know how ridiculous it is? You're telling me you're the only person sitting here telling me that I am just wrong because of how I interpret what I think. And in reality, the only correct answer is it's a math equation. There's nothing beyond it.
That's ipsy dixit, Sean's little shop.
Okay. Again.
Sean is serving up a little.
Show me. Fine.
A little froth of mathematics.
Fine. Show me Hawkins radiation beyond just the equation. I can't. I don't know enough about it.
No, I can talk to you about the quantum phenomena that lead into it, the phenomena of quantum mechanics that make it logically contingent, how it relates to the Schwarzschild radius. It's not just mathematics.
Mhm.
But even if it were, for the sake of argument, you could not say, on the basis of what you have established, if it is a valid solution to the phenomena of black holes within the Einstein field equations and its intersection with quantum mechanics, that Sean has the ability to say it is not of reality. That is what I'm disputing, Sean. And if you want to have me on record saying something about faith in science based on the
All
definition,
right. So this is the definition for Hawkins radiation. Hawkins radiation is currently considered a theoretical concept, meaning it is based on calculations and predictions from physics, but not has been directly observed experimentally due to its extremely faint nature and the radiation and its limitations to current technology. It is primarily on the idea of how quantum mechanics interacts with extra gravity near a black hole event horizon. This is a calculation, is based on calculations and predictions of physics, and is not a direct observed experimentally due to extreme faint nature. Yeah, this is not. It's not something. It's not based on a bunch of other. It's based on a it literally says a concept. Is it not a theoretical concept?
You just contradicted your own position.
Which
by
part?
your own definition, you have just conceded that the basis.
Which part did I? Which part?
When you conceded that its basis is in physics.
Which part? Wait, what? Yes. When did I say it's not based in physics?
You said it's just mathematics, Sean.
The calculations. Okay, the calculations, mathematics, right? That's one part.
Based in physics.
Right. Calculations.
Based in physics.
The prediction.
Physics
now,
provides.
the calculation, again, I get that. But
I'm
what part?
not sure that you do,
fine.
Sean.
Because you're not listening at all. What part came up when it came when they came up with Hawkins radiation? It was based off of what?
It was based off of the physical laws and known laws of physics applied within the context of mathematics, which is not equivalent to only existing in mathematics.
And once something it can be falsifiable, then what happens? What happens? What's the next step in science?
The next step is that we try to devise a test to observe the phenomena and determine if it matches the predictions. Predictions have been made. A hypothesis has been made. There's extensive physical, like physics.
There's no physical aspect of Hawking's radiation. This is ridiculous.
Physics has been used. You conceded in your own definition. The basis is physics, not just abstract mathematics. Yes, you conceded in your own definition.
No, okay, yeah. So the physics aspect of it is the black hole. The understanding that a black hole exists. It's not.
There's a lot.
What? Perfect. What?
The way that quantum mechanics interacts with the black hole, all of the known laws of physics.
How does quantum mechanics interact with a black hole?
I can't explain that to you in the context of this debate, Sean. We'll have to.
Why? It's part of it. You're telling me that's the reason. So explain it.
You want me to physically read the page to you, and we can go through it right now? I'm happy to do so.
No, I just want you to explain it.
Okay, so it's dependent on the Unruh effect and the equivalence principle applied to black hole horizons. Does that mean anything to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, what is the Unruh effect?
It'd be the situation of being how light, which doesn't have matter, is affected at the black hole, which is observable.
How does it relate to a thermal bath?
Don't know. You explain it.
Okay.
I asked you to explain these things. I didn't ask you to ask me if I understood it. I clearly said explain it. So I don't understand what you asking me to explain it means. Me saying explain it means you explain it to me.
You are making.
So when I say wait. So when you bring up you bring up something, I say explain it to me, and then you ask me to explain it to you. Is how that you think that works?
You claim to understand something you didn't understand, and you gave a false explanation.
No. I literally, before you said explain it, I said no. And then I don't. Explain it to me. So How
I
we go?
asked
So Sealion, I know you're pumping your your ego right now.
I'm not,
Explain
Sean,
it.
I just come into
Don't
this.
ask me. Look.
Sean,
Don't
believe me,
ask
man.
me.
If I'm gonna
Don't
pump
ask.
my ego, I'm
Don't
not
hold
gonna
on,
do
ask
it.
hold on
me.
a second.
Don't ask
All right,
me
hold on, guys.
to
Hold
explain
on,
it
Sean. Hold
anymore.
on.
If I
Hold
tell you
on.
that I don't understand it,
Yeah.
and I want you to explain it, all
Hey,
you do is pumping
Hold
your
on, Sean.
fucking ego by asking me if I understand it.
Okay.
So
Hold
go
on.
for
Hold
it
on.
and
Let's
explain it. That's very simple concept.
chill out. All right. This doesn't seem to be very productive. Maybe we could move to closing statements, or there's a last thing you guys
No,
want to
I would
tackle about
prefer
this, or
he fucking if he's gonna bring up something, he explain it, not
Okay.
ask me to explain it.
do you know what a metric is in general relativity?
Explain it. Just explain it.
I'm asking you questions so I can help clarify.
No,
A
I
metric
asked
is a
you
solution.
a question.
A
I
metric-
said, can you explain it to me? You said, okay. That does not mean you're going to start asking me to explain if I know what it is. The question was for you to
Okay.
explain what you are talking about.
I will
At that
stop
point,
asking.
you start explaining what you understand about said topic, not then question my acknowledgement of said topic. So, would you like to explain it, or would you like to see if I can explain something I've asked you to explain? Very simple.
A metric is a particular type of solution to the Einstein field equations describing a particular curvature of space-time. Within that context, a Schwarzschild black hole has a particular solution that defines a metric. I can show you the specific page if you'd like me to share my screen. That's not really that important. What is important?
So far we got space-time, black holes, and interactions. Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Yep. Keep going.
And then there's the interaction with that metric of quantum field theory, something that has been empirically studied and verified.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Are we there yet? So now,
you tell me. You done with the explanation, or are you halfway through it? Where you at?
so there is a combination, John, of a solution to the Einstein field equations interacting with a quantum field effect, and both of those have been verified in other contexts to be descriptions of reality. Now we take those and inductively create a theory of what would happen within the Schwarzschild metric of the black hole to produce that observed radiation. And that is the description of Schwarzschild radiation. If you'd like to go in more detail, we can, but it's for this conversation.
So it's a concept built upon other concepts.
You are mischaracterizing what I just said. There's
Okay.
Is
space-time physical, observable? It's not. It's an effect, right? It's described effect of how things
physical in the sense that it's outside the mind and empirically verifiable. It is physical and non-tangible.
Okay.
You're the one that's
it's not it's not conceptualized. It's not a concept within.
It is physical in the sense that it has properties that are observed through the interaction with matter demonstrably. So now
it's a description of. It's a description of. It's not a observation of. It's a description of. Clarify that.
It is
right.
There is a tangible effect of the curvature of space-time.
Force. Yeah, force.
No, the force is produced in a certain context. Force is produced by movement along geodesics in curved space-time. That's what induces the force of gravity.
Yeah, it induces it, and then the acceleration is the effect of that induced force. I get it. Yeah, exactly. Okay. One without the other.
So now, what basis do you have to say that that this phenomena of Hawking radiation is not of reality?
We can't tangibly verify it ourselves.
So your standard of what is reality is personal verifiability? You've changed it.
For the most part, well, the personal verification of it wouldn't be a personal one. It would just be us. The same way I kind of explained to you in the very, very beginning of all this, why I consider gravity a force, right? You remember that part?
Yeah, I remember that part.
Yeah. And would you agree with my reasoning for gravity being a force?
So I've already explained to you in the context of magnetism and gravity that there is an emergent effect that induces a force. So it's more
Would you
complex.
agree? Okay, but would you agree with my stance on why I consider gravity a force?
I don't agree in the sense that I do not subscribe to that, but I understand why you're coming from that position. But the reason
Okay.
that we're talking about Hawking radiation, it is emblematic of your position based on a standard that is inconsistent, ad hoc, and just based on what you can personally understand.
Yes, and that is
The argument I'm
basically
making?
what we're doing. That's what a debate is about. What we can understand and explain, right?
No, we need to have a consistent
No.
standard of
Oh, okay. So you
intelligibility.
should just when you have a debate, do you just talk out your ass? Because I don't. I try to talk about the
I,
stuff I
I
understand.
develop I develop a consistent standard of intelligibility that is not ad hoc and based on my personal
Mine
incredulity.
aren't alcoholic either. It is. It literally is. It's how you look at it.
No, you have an ad hoc standard because in this debate you have never been able to demonstrate that the lens-Thirring effect is materially different.
Again, you are taking a subtopic that wasn't even part of the discussion, something I wouldn't have even looked into
It's
to be able to.
absolutely.
And then you said, because you can't do this, your opinion means nothing. And the reality of it is that's just how it is. The same way I say I'm correct, the same way I can be correct in my applied use of gravity being a force is the same way I can be correct in saying, and was correct in saying, which was what this debate was about, was you applying, having your faith in general relativity.
So, but
Now,
it
where
turned
you wanted
into,
to, now where you, say where what it turned into once you conceded is something that you want to make into an ego battle that I'm not interested in. I don't know what those things are
I
enough
have
to
no
have an
interest in having
education,
an
to
ego.
have an educational discussion about it, to break it down for
I have
what you
zero
want.
interest
But
in having
what I absolutely wanted to establish, I've already done.
I have zero interest in having an ego battle with you, Sean. I'm
Then
trying
what are you doing
to
right? Okay. Then do you agree the debate's over with because I've established that you do have a line of faith in general relativity?
defining faith as
Do you want to do this again?
yeah,
Okay, I'll define faith again. I just read it. You agreed to it. Everyone heard you agree to it. I don't know why we're going to play this game again. I'll read it again for you.
okay. So it's the part about confidence in the results. I have never in this debate from the beginning ever said that that wasn't the case, Sean. The issue
Yes,
that
you
I
did.
have
Yeah.
is that you're
Okay. Well,
trying to
good thing
get me
again.
to
I love the
agree.
fact that we're just recorded because this whole time we've been talking for days, I have made the established fact that you base your general relativity, your knowledge of general relativity and what is discussed in faith. I have said nothing different for 3 fucking days. If
No, but you're making trying to step in.
if you interpreted it into some religious thing and then that to hyper fixate on fucking on one thing about it, that's on you. But for 3
But
days, I have
problem
for 3 days, I have over and I do this on purpose. I've made my position very clear for this exact reason, so that there wouldn't be no miscommunication in what I was trying to say with this. This is why for days I've been coming in our DMs and the voice chat and my chats and made it very clear when I said faith. I didn't say you believe that GR is wrong. I didn't say it was a mythical thing like the fucking Loch Ness monster. I never even said that
did make that
no, I didn't.
implication. No,
No,
didn't
you say
today.
implication. You say
You have
implication,
made an
and
implication.
you say implication, and all that really means is your fucking opinion. Because when I say faith, and I meant the same faith, and I meant the same, and I meant the same faith as a definition I have read now 8 times. That is on you. That's why I asked you a minute ago. Does this seem like the misinterpretation of what faith is based on what you thought it meant? Because remember, you said, well, I'm sorry, Sean, but I've been dealing with a lot of flat earthers lately. And when they talk about general relativity and gravity. They look at it as like it's a religion, and that's the type of faith that I assumed you were talking about. Didn't you just say that?
I was talking
All right,
about the earlier panel, Sean. The issue that I have is that you
That's
keep
the issue that we're having now. That's the point
hold
of the
on,
debate.
Sean. No, hold on.
You're just
Wait,
monologue.
let's see foam or Sealion get his whole point out here.
So this is the point. This is the entire point of the debate has come down to this. You're trying to sneak in, and I'm not going to let you do it. You're trying to sneak in a comparison of Hawking radiation to ghosts and gods. That is
No, I'm not.
category
That was
error.
that was again just part of your
Sean.
sub conversation you chose to
Let me
have.
finish. Let me finish, Sean.
Then acknowledge what I've said. Oh,
Go ahead and finish.
Thank you. You are making a false equivalency between the natural and the supernatural, the physical and the tangible.
no, I'm
and
not.
all of that relates
I'm not.
to your
You decided.
mischaracterization that within the scope of this debate, you or I, based on a
Shit
consistent
that you're saying is
standard
wrong.
of
That's bullshit.
intelligibility, based on a consistent standard of intelligibility, can determine that Hawking radiation is not of reality and is therefore in some sense unscientific.
It's based on faith.
You
Based
cannot
on faith.
make such a distinction
You're
because
based
of
on
no
faith. You've already
material
agreed to it.
basis.
You already agreed to it. I don't know why you're arguing now.
You have no material basis. You have no material basis to contrast an established fact in reality, insofar as scientific facts exist, of the Lenz-Thurring effect. You've skated around that and hand-wave dismissed it away. And you want to just focus on Hawking radiation because that's where you're comfortable. But until you can make a meaningful distinction based on a consistent standard of intelligibility that isn't just
You're full of shit now. You're full of shit. I have made it very clear that I didn't want to hyperfixate on Hawkins radiation, and you're the one who's fixating on Hawkins radiation. Don't make that bullshit a distinction.
Hold on, Sean.
Don't make that distinction because you're the one who has constantly brought it back to Hawkins radiation. I keep saying that that's some sub argument that you've decided to take off on. Yes, it is. It literally is a sub argument that you have taken off with. Yes, it is. It literally is.
It's the exact characterization of the problem in your epistemology and your inability.
It's exact. Again, this is just your opinion that you're spouting out.
All right. So let Sealion finish your point, and then we're gonna let Sean respond to it, and then probably go into closing statements.
No, I'm gonna respond right the fuck now because he's making statements that aren't that bullshit.
Well,
Let's make something very fucking clear. From the very beginning, I have made it very clear that you base your fucking science on as in a faith. That's all I've said. Every something that you've come off of that when it comes to sticking to the fucking the Hawkins radiation and the Lorentz contract and all that kind of shit, that's on you. That's you doing it. That's why 20 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, I established the distinction between how you admitted that there is a level of faith that you have, because that's exactly what the fuck I've been talking about. Again, the sub conversation, no, not from the beginning. It didn't happen until about an hour ago. What are you talking about?
We agreed at the beginning of the debate on a reasonable standard of faith in science. The reason I keep bringing
did you agree that you hold that faith?
I never disagreed with that. I said that I have a reasonable standard of faith.
Now you're just crazy.
Can be personally verified.
An hour ago. Yep, an hour ago.
My standard of discernment to general relativity.
You sure?
You're trying to trap
an hour ago.
You're trying to trap me into saying.
I'm not trying to trap you into anything. That's not what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm establishing there's a problem. The debate topic that we came up, the debate topic that we were going to talk about was literally about whether or not you have faith in general relativity. That was literally the topic that we discussed that we were going to have a debate on. Am I wrong?
We established early on a standard of what that meant.
We've been debating for 3 hours. You didn't just establish that part until an hour ago. What are you talking about?
That's not true, Sean. We talked.
So wait, hang on. Let me get this straight. Let me get this 100% straight. Because an hour ago, maybe less, you said that under the constraints of the definition of faith that I've read 8 fucking times, that yes, you do have a level of faith when it comes to it.
I never disagreed with that.
Okay, now you're telling me in the first, I won't even be specific about a certain time. I'm going to say in the first 2 hours. You're telling me you made that statement?
Yes, Sean, I did.
Okay. You want to bet $20 on that?
I will bet you $200, Sean.
Oh, I'll bet $20 on it. I don't want to take that much from you.
Okay. All right, that's fine. So don't worry about me, Sean. I'm doing just fine. All right.
No,
Last
Alright,
bit.
perfect.
Here,
That's
the last
I'm,
one
I'm very
here.
happy you made that statement, because then I'm at fault if I'm wrong, because for 3 days that we've been talking about this, it has been that you have faith in general
No,
relativity. Nothing more, nothing less.
the distinction is
And
between
that's crazy. And that's crazy
No,
that we even started this debate, and when you could have just went, "Oh, I agree with you."
I did. We agreed at the start of the debate.
And why did
then
we start?
started
And why?
to-
Okay, then so wait. So we agreed that you do have a level of faith when it comes to your belief in general relativity.
Never disagreed with that. What I have said consistently from the
Yeah,
start.
I will pull up. How about
issue that
this?
I have-
I'll pull up. I can pull up the
Hold on.
live
Let
feed where we
let him
talked about
reply,
this.
Sean.
The issue that I have is with Sean's Ipsy Dixit shop of
It's a
mathematics.
Dixie shops, and it's not because I said so. You are taking it out of
It is
context, and you are making
no,
a,
it is
again
because-
making a sub argument for some bullshit, because you've already had to concede to what our debate was about. And I'm going to show you that you haven't said that, because I will literally start this part over. I literally put it, because if that was the case and you had conceded to the level of faith that you have in general relativity, this whole argument would have been.
That's where we're getting,
fucking talking.
That's where we keep
Perfect.
getting stuck, Sean,
Perfect.
because
Perfect.
the problem with your epistemology is an inconsistent standard that is ad hoc based on Sean's personal standard.
You want to?
And
You want me to share?
demonstrated that.
I will share.
demonstrated
How about that? I will
demonstrated
share.
that.
I will share
Sean,
the
let me
beginning of the
finish.
stream right now, and we can
No,
just find out if you said it or not. How about that?
Sean,
No.
let's do closing statements, and then I'm happy to do that. This is my closing statement.
This is okay. Perfect.
Well,
That
no-
will be my
oh,
closing
oh.
statement.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Go ahead.
all right, up to 5 minutes. Go ahead, Sealion.
Okay. The key contention of the debate started as a friendly conversation on the nature of faith and science. I have tried to maintain the position from the start that all science, and indeed all knowledge, requires a reasonable level of faith. I even brought up the silly brain in a jar example to distinguish when that becomes unreasonable. The problem that I have is that your epistemology of science, as you've defined it, you have made the statement that Hawking radiation is not of reality, made a categorical rejection, therefore, of certain types of scientific statements that you cannot support on the basis of a consistent standard of intelligibility. And I have refuted your standard by proving that you have no consistent basis that is not ad hoc for distinguishing between the Lenz-Thirring effect and Hawking radiation. And therefore, Sean, you have no way in Sean's Ipsy Dixit shop of mathematics
Ipsy Dixie shopping magic
to distinguish whether Hawking radiation is of reality or not. And your attempts to slip in bits about ghosts and unicorns and gods as it pertains to Hawking radiation, I'm sorry, Sean, come off as bad faith. And I'd hope that we didn't get there in this debate, because I've tried to keep this as good faith as possible. I have conceded from the start the necessity of a level of faith as you defined it, in terms of confidence in what has been presented to me that I haven't personally verified. That does not allow us, within the context of this debate, and you have never been able to refute this, to establish the truth value of Hawking radiation. And you contradicted your own position in quoting the definition of Hawking radiation when you defined it as being based on physics, which is contrary to your statements earlier that it was simply based on mathematics. It is not. I gave you a description of the relevant physics, the experimental basis, and therefore your position is refuted. That's it.
All right. Sean, you got 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Well, the first. Hang on, I'm putting it up. And first of all, I want to make something very clear. Nothing in my shit was bad faith. The whole point of this argument was whether or not you based in faith, and the fact that you
for 3 days said it wasn't, is the reason this whole argument came about. When I started bringing up about Hawkins radiation, it was about being able to be falsifiable, tested, and that became the contention of the issue that we had. And that was when you started claiming that even though it wasn't observable and it wasn't something that can be verified or tested, that if in the future, way down the line, it could be done, it makes it of reality. What I was making very clear is that there are things that are described in general relativity. And an example for science of them doing this was Hawkins radiation, where it's something that can't be observed, can't be verified or falsified. And that was the whole point of why it was based in a faith. That was the point of this whole debate. He's already conceded hours later from the beginning that it was literally based, that he does have a value of faith that he bases in it. And if he had said that from the very beginning, I don't even know what the fuck we would even be talking about. So don't tell me that my argument was based in any type of fucking, and it will, because if anything, it would be you trying to save face on the shit you've already fucking conceded for. You've already conceded that you have some faith in it. If you had conceded that from the very beginning, like you have stated, then we wouldn't even have this debate. The debate would have lasted literally 2.5 minutes the second we went over what faith was, like we did. The argument was based on the fact that you must have faith in what's being said because you cannot verify it yourself. If you want to go off of some argument that you've conjured up in the middle of this debate, that's fine with me. But the reality of it is that the debate topic that was discussed does show that you have a level of faith in it. And if that's what you said from the very first second, then I'm sorry, from the very beginning of this debate, you lost. If you want to measure a win, measure an argument that I had based on the sub-argument of the debate, and then weigh the debate on those sub-arguments, it's ridiculous. That's bad faith. Talking about the ghost and all that shit had nothing to do with my argument that you have faith in science. That's why your part of the argument is in bad faith, not mine.
All right. I'd like to thank both the debaters, SeanG and Sealion Prime. This is a good debate. Do we want to open it up for Q&A now? Is there anybody that wants to ask a question? Maybe type in the chat and we'll get you unmuted. But Don Pettit, did you have so Don Pettit asks what's ad hoc? I don't know if that's to us or to the chat. But hell, you guys went for 3 hours. So links for the server here, Globe Gangsters, is pinned to the chat in the YouTube live stream. You can come here and interact as well. You can go to medicinalmass.com and get links there. SeanG, you want to plug your channel or anything you got coming in the future?
Just the daily live streams. Might be live streaming tomorrow. I'll put the link in the chat. Other than that, that's pretty much all that's left on the itinerary.
Thanks for the lively debate, guys. Sealion, did you have anything you wanted to close out and give to the people?
I just didn't want that to get into that level of heated debate. So I just felt like we were kind of, things were getting kind of like just overly, I don't know. We'll talk about it later, I guess. But yeah, that's I was really trying, Sean, and like if you want to review this at some point on your show or something, I'd be happy to do that. If you feel like I was acting in bad faith, that's not my intention. Like, I have a lot of respect for you. I've always had really great interactions with you. And yeah, I intended this to be very friendly from the start. So if that's not how my actions ended up, I apologize for that, because that's not how I wanted that to go in that regard.
Alrighty. Well, thanks, Sean, for making Sealion cry. We'll check you guys later. Yeah, stay tuned. Watch. Keep in touch with Sean's live stream. Got daily panels you can join and dicker of Ipsy dicks it about all sorts of shit on there.
Demon, thanks so much for the moderation. You did a great job just doing the minimum amount to keep things flowing and be very fair with the making sure that we kind of kept things on track and we stopped the over talking. So I appreciate that.
Absolutely, anytime.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. Oh, I guess